Are you experiencing uncontrollable fast eye blinking, light palsy, stammering, and overbearing snobbery every time you hear the words, "Make America Great Again"? Are your conversations at dinner turning into debates? Do family gatherings feel like congressional hearings? Do you find yourself engaging in heated conversations with your 6 cats about political policies? Have you been found wild-eyed, naked, frothing at the mouth, and writhing on the floor? Have your friends described blackouts you suffered where you kept staring into space, repeating things like Russian collusion, "He is Hitler," and "Joy Reid was right"? If you said yes to any of these, then you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. But don't worry, introducing Polycalm, the revolutionary new treatment designed to bring peace back to your household. Crafted by top scientists at RPW Media with a sense of humor and a pinch of irony, Polycalm is clinically proven to reduce symptoms of TDS levels 1 through 5. That's right, no more sudden outbursts at family dinners or knee-jerk unfriending people on social media. No more yelling at people for going into a Walmart through the exit door instead of the welcome side. Polycalm might cause sudden side effects such as extreme agreeableness, an unusual interest in gardening, and a sudden urge to discuss the weather. If you find yourself agreeing to a family game night, consult your recreational therapist immediately. Other side effects include an increased sense of humor, a sudden understanding of different perspectives, and in rare cases, an uncontrollable urge to watch Fox News. Polycalm. Because sometimes we all need a little help to stay sane in a world that seems a bit crazy. Available wherever laughter and open conversations are found. Polycalm is not available in stores and doesn't actually exist. But hey, wouldn't it be great if it did? Until then, liberals remember a little laughter and love of country can go a long way. And stop being a dick. Fact checkers. Polycalm is not a real medication. We're just screwing around. Polycalm is intended for humorous purposes only. Always seek professional advice for serious medical conditions like Trump derangement syndrome.
Hey, everybody. How everybody doing? How you doing, Dr. J?
I'm doing okay. How you doing, Rich?
I'm all right, actually. There's a lot to talk about today.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Trump got sentenced by a non-sentence sentence, proving once and for all that we were all right, that there was nothing to that whole trial. Unbelievable. So they sentence him and they don't give him anything. We'll talk about it later, but there's a lot.
Now, how much time and energy did they spend just to give him?
Good Lord.
Nothing.
Well, I know Jack Smith, his case was like 50 mil. They spent $50 million on something that he had the right to do. And yet the same DOJ will not go after Biden, who did what Trump did, but did not have the right to do it. It's January 20th can't come fast enough.
Or Mike Pence that did and didn't have the right to do.
Right. Yeah, well, Mike Pence, Jesus, he says, well, I had no role in that. I was just, no, you had a role, dumbass. You were still the vice president, which meant you were the president of the Senate. You had a role. He was the president of the Senate.
He had some documents too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, they all did, except Trump's the only one that was allowed to have them. He was the president, but hey.
Hey, what did I say?
Now, did you hear that an appeals court, like Judge Eileen Cannon said, no, you can't release the document because you were unconstitutionally appointed. So everything you do is tainted at this point on, right? And Garland did that intentionally too. Think about it. Democrats always go around the fucking rules. It's like when they did the Iran deal, right? That was supposed to be a treaty. They didn't treat it as a treaty. Why? Well, because then you'd have to get advice and consent through the Senate, and they knew they'd never get through that. Hey, what's up, Chris? What's up, Jeremiah? Chill. Good to see you, bro.
Rich, you've got kids.
Who else is here? Jeremiah. Oh, yeah, I said hi. Sorry.
Rich, you've got kids. You know how this works. Kids keep doing until
they only understand pain.
Yeah, kids will keep doing until they run into the no. You have to catch them and smack them around.
Yeah.
And Chris, no, exactly. Now they can say that he is, in fact, officially a felon. Right. And it was all
bullshit.
It was all it was all bullshit. It was all smoke and mirrors. And the thing is, it didn't turn out the way they wanted.
I'll tell you
There's
what,
the
you're
problem.
right. And you know what else? Today, what happened today? What happened with the sentencing? Okay, it actually, you just have to trust me on this. It's going to backfire on the Democrats, and it's just going to add to Trump's aura.
Well,
It's going to add to his aura. Everybody knows it was a phony trial, except for the extra chromosome lib nuts, right? The libtards that are out there. What's up, Cyber?
yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 years, but right now, like for instance, what's going on in California
Yeah.
during the election, if my memory serves, Trump flipped 10 counties in California, including San Bernardino. And
We'll get into it. What's up, Streaky?
and if things are going the way they look like they're going for Gavin Newsom now with the fires there,
Yeah.
we may suddenly be looking at flipping California. That would be
incredible.
That would be hilarious.
That would be incredible,
wouldn't it?
It used to be very easy. I mean, Ronald Reagan won it twice.
Yeah,
what
but he was
was-
from California. He was
But
governor.
Reagan
Yeah.
destroyed that though with the amnesty.
Yeah.
He got fooled by the Dems. It'll never happen again. But they told him, you give us amnesty, we'll give you E-Verify, and we'll give you money to secure the border. He gave them amnesty. They told him to go fuck off. They gave him nothing. And I don't know how you get away with making a deal and you don't follow, Congress doesn't follow through with their part. How do you do that? And so what happened was most of the illegals that were here, they were already in California. What's that?
Stalin used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
He made deals. He made deals all over the place.
Yeah. But the thing is, most of them were in California, the illegals at the time, and overnight
A lot of them were.
became a blue state overnight. And that's what they wanted. Look at, why do you think they brought in all these 11 to 18 or 20 million paupers from third world nations around the world? Because they wanted to do to America what they did to California.
And they're trying. Well, they've pretty much done it in Colorado here. Colorado, when we moved here, was a red state, and then
you're right.
Shortly,
you're right. The smell.
Shortly after that, it was a purple state, and then we have a ton of people migrate here from California.
Yep.
Because of the complete shit that California was, except they brought it with them.
Yes, that's the thing I was going to say about Colorado, because in Tennessee, like they go to Tennessee, they go to Texas, and they go to Florida from various, like New York, you go to Florida or Tennessee, South Carolina, right? And you don't like the people down there go, hey, motherfucker, you screwed up your state. Don't do that here. We'll run your ass out. But in Colorado, it's like there was nobody there to say, hey, motherfucker, you screwed up. They don't say it. I don't know why.
And then they instituted universal mail-in balloting.
Yeah.
And
and that was it. Yeah. Colorado's it's a lost cause. I'm sticking around in PA for a little longer because we're banking on going to South Carolina, but I'm sticking around a little longer because we might go red in the next election. We might go back to red again. It's been a while, but I think Corbyn was the last red governor.
I just think it's completely hilarious. A few months ago, the Dems were crowing about turning Texas blue, and we're sitting here contemplating California turning red. I mean, we
thought that parts of New York, there was a strong possibility. I got to wonder, did they Dominion their way out of it?
I told you this before the election. I told you that I didn't think we were going to win it.
That's correct. That's Wilcow.
I didn't think, I told you before the election, I said, I don't think we're going to win it, but wouldn't it be absolutely knee-slapping hilarious?
Yeah.
It
would be. Let's see what we got.
But, it's the same thing in reverse that the Dems were talking about, because if the Dems took Texas, it would be all over.
Hey, what's up, Pam?
if we take California, it is equally all over.
Yeah. Hey guys,
And
guys,
yeah,
guys in the chat, excuse me. Pamela here is a dear friend of mine. So say hi, be
hi
nice to
Pamela.
her. She's one
And
of us.
Pamela,
She's a Trumper.
you're right about, we've got a bunch of Venezuelans here, and the only thing we're hoping is that people are so ticked off with the um, Venezuelans coming in and the crimes and taking over apartment buildings and stuff like that, that
What's up,
we
Special K?
actually punish the state politicians, because Colorado looks in a way similar to California, because if you take a look at the map by counties, you'll see a big blob of blue around Denver, a big blob of blue around Boulder, and a little blob of blue around Fort Collins. Everything else is red.
Yep.
So,
Well, you see that in most states. You see that in the map, the county map of the United States. Looks like a red blob with little splotches of infection. I mean, blue.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I saw one this week, and it's amazing if you break it down by counties, how little blue there really is on them.
Yeah. And the problem is they just got so many freaking people in those blue areas. Because you think about it, there's how many millions? How many millions are in LA County?
There are more people in the LA basin than there are in
like 23 states.
You could combine any 6 Western states, and there's more.
But 23 states do not have the same as that county.
No, I'm talking about cumulative. I think.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm saying Western states.
Yeah.
And there's more people in LA basin than any 6 Western states combined.
That's crazy, man. All right, so we're going to do, let's see. We got a lot to go over.
I want to talk about Zuckerberg.
Oh, really? He's in here. There we go. Here, let's do this one. Facebook and Instagram ban Life News for sharing pro-life medical video. Can you believe this shit? Yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. On behalf of pro-life news site lifenews.com, Life News CEO and editor Stephen Ertelt, a potential adoptive mom, Abby Covington, Alliance Defending Freedom, sent a letter Wednesday to Meta after it wrongly suspended Ertelt, Life News, and Covington's Facebook and Instagram accounts. ADF attorneys explained that Meta's content moderation mechanisms are either deeply flawed, you think, or its standards against human exploitation and child sexual exploitation were weaponized to suspend the accounts for promoting pro-life beliefs. Yeah, it's crazy. You know what it is? They'll say, oh, well, we didn't get all of the fact checkers out. And they say, well, it's a third-party fact checker. Meta owns them. As the letter explained, what's that?
Zuckerberg said he was getting rid of the third-party checkers.
Yes, he said the fact checkers, the third-party fact checkers are going to be gone. They're going to go back to their roots, they said, where they'll do it themselves. Well, and it won't be censorship. They're still censoring my feed 98%.
Yeah, they said they're going to go to a community notes model, and the things
they're going to do the community notes like Elon did, which is smart. But then, how many fact checkers are going to come back and trash the community notes people?
Well, they can. You're allowed to put your opinion out there.
Yeah, but the fact checkers will attack them. Now they don't do it on X because Elon owns it, but I don't trust Zuckerberg as far as I could throw him.
Well, here's the thing. He knows which way the wind blows.
Yeah, he blows.
Well, but I mean, he's got absolutely no morals.
Right.
Zuckerberg wants to look after Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
If he thinks that he can do better by signing on and kissing Trump's ring, that's exactly what he just did. And that's why he did it. And it's all about him. And it's not that he's got any ethics or morals. It's just, this is what's going to do best for me.
Yep. So, as the letter explains, Life News, which reaches more than 750,000 individuals weekly through its website, emails, radio programs, and social media accounts, has an Instagram account with over 20,000 followers. Ertel, who has nearly 5,000 friends on his personal account, used his Facebook to repost content from Life News. Covington, now remember this, it all shit rolls downhill, right? You had Joe Biden's DOJ was arresting pro-lifers who were protesting outside abortion clinics, but they were within, what is it, like 500 feet? They were within whatever the legal limits are. But they were arresting them anyway. First, they go to hassle them, and then when you argue back, they arrest you. And that's what they were doing. I mean, they turned laws. First of all, they turned laws that were supposed to go against terrorists in the Patriot Act against Americans, and now they're turning laws. They're just making shit up on the fly. That's what they're doing now. Covington, who used Facebook as a primary source for her small business to reach customers, created a Facebook and Instagram page chronicling her family's journey toward adoption. Both Ertel and Covington tried to log into their Facebook accounts shortly after sharing pro-life posts and were locked out with no warning. That's the way they roll. After they tried to appeal multiple times, Meta permanently banned their Facebook and Instagram accounts. Because Ertel operated Life News' Instagram account, Meta permanently banned that account as well. And yet, you won't hear jack shit about the other side. You'll have people, you know what? On this platform, I'm not even allowed to talk about it. Maybe my BitChute people, I'll go over there and talk to them over there. Anyway. So.
Yeah, but he's apparently getting rid of the fact checkers. The only things that will be taken down is stuff that is actually illegal. So if you post something on there that is frankly illegal, I guess they reserve the right to take that down.
Right.
But he has said, unless it's illegal.
See, Section 230 was supposed to be so that, like, you remember when the internet, when Al Gore first invented the internet?
Why do you think they call it an algorithm? Why do you think they call it an algorithm?
Yeah. So you got the drums right behind you. You could have done
right behind me.
Yeah, but Pam was in Facebook jail twice. If it was only twice for me on things that I posted they go after you from years ago. Things that nobody and they know nobody has looked at it, read it. You know, they didn't get impressions for it from 3 years ago onward, but they'll nail you. They'll just go and nail you. It's crazy. Hey, what's up, Liquid? How you doing, bro? Frank White, Dana White. Yeah. Yeah. So Facebook says they're going to be cool with the rest of us, but not so. I didn't believe it the minute I heard it. I was like, bullshit.
Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. So here we go. Let's go. Donald Trump sentenced, gets no penalty in hush money case, but will still become first felon in White House. This is what the Democrats wanted. All right. Donald Trump was given a no penalty sentence in his hush money case Friday by a Manhattan judge who is not a real judge, Judge Juan Merchan. He's a poet and didn't know it. Rhymes all the time, cementing his status as the first convicted felon to become president until after the appeal, but freeing him from the threat of jail or fines as he readies to re-enter the White House. I think it's because they were afraid of what MAGA people would do. Maybe they bought their own hype about J6. You see all the shit that's coming out about J6 now? Trump, 78, vowed that he would appeal in a statement on Truth Social, posted shortly after the sentencing, in which he wrote, "Radical Democrats have lost another pathetic un-American witch hunt." They did. He said, today's event was a despicable charade, or do you say charade? And now that it is over, we will appeal this hoax, which has no merit, and restore the trust of Americans in our once great system of justice. He's right about that because there's no merit to it. They faked everything in that. I mean, he even said today, he said, look, he said, they said that we tried to hide things. He goes, in the records, he goes, we very openly listed it as a legal expense. He goes, you know why? Because it was a legal expense. And it was. The porn whore's boyfriend, which was Michael Cohen, they were having an affair since 2006. But And he's the one that put her up to, allegedly put her up to get the money. Right before an election, they're going to pay out. That's what the doorman did from one of his buildings. So he got 30 grand for that. Anyway, so it's unbelievable that they said that, like, he had to take a second mortgage out on his home, Cohen, in order to pay her off the 130 grand, I think it was. And then he went back to, his client and said, yeah, you just pay me back. And they went, okay, that's what we do, right? That's what you do. It's a legal expense. So they said, we'll pay you back in 30 increments of $35,000. And they go, he tried to hide it that way. No, because there's something that triggers certain taxes, I think, if it's over that amount. So it's like if you're transferring money, in either PayPal or Zelle or anything, don't do it over $600 or the IRS is going to come on you. Under Biden, that shit will go away January 20th. But it's the same thing. So that's what they did. And it was all legal. There was nothing upside down or wrong about it. And so he writes it, they write it off as a legal expense. When you pay a lawyer, it's called a legal, for an expense, it's called a legal expense. That's how you write it down. And that's what it was. And he said, and they charged me with that. How do you That's why you can ask any one of the libnuts that say he's a convicted felon. Ask any one of them. Okay, what was the crime he actually did? Well, he did something with documents. What did he do with documents? He marked it as a legal expense. Yeah, but he was paying an expense account for a lawyer. That's called a legal expense.
Yeah,
Shut up, racist! I mean,
in case anybody missed some of the subtleties, the crime was falsifying the events, falsifying the documents in support of a crime. And
there was no crime.
And as you and I have discussed,
no victim.
When it went to the jury, Judge Marchand said, well, you don't have to decide what was a crime. You just have to decide that they were falsified in support of a crime. So what was the crime?
And they gave and he gave three things. Normally, if you have three charges, you have to find them guilty on any one of the three. You vote on all three. You find guilty for this one, not guilty. This one, not guilty. This one, guilty. Okay, that's what you do. He told them that of the three that we've presented to you in the judge's instructions, in the three that I've presented to you, that you don't have to vote all of them. In other words, if 3 vote here and 4 vote here, you know what I mean? On this second one, and he would have counted it. That's how they did it. Never done before. I mean, and let me say this to you guys. Mark my words. They lost. This is going back on his aura. You know what they're going to do? They're going to own it, and they're going to sell T-shirts and make millions off the T-shirts. Convicted felon again. That's what they're going to do. And you know what? There's a lot of liberal lawyers out there that are saying this is not good for the Democratic Party. What they just did. It's not good.
Bobbity, you're right.
Hey, what's up, Bobbity?
Bobbity's right.
What do you say?
No, before that.
Oh,
no, Bobbity's right.
I didn't say. Oh, there he is. Breaking news. Donald Trump found guilty in being Donald Trump. Yeah, that's right. That's correct. He's guilty of being Donald Trump. It's just unfreaking believable. I got another one. Well, let me get through this. He said, today's event was despicable charade. And now that it's over, we will appeal this hoax, which has no merit, and restore the trust in America's once great justice system of justice. Justice, they call him justice. Judge Juan Merchan, who oversaw the trial in which jurors found Trump guilty of concealing a payoff that hid a sex scandal from voters. He didn't conceal any. He doesn't have to write in the notes, we did a legal expense for a porn whore. You don't have to write that. You just pay back the lawyer. That's what you write. Everybody in the world, that's what they write. It doesn't matter what it's for.
The fact is, you're allowed to pay somebody for
expenses.
A agreement.
What, NDA?
A non-disclosure. You're allowed to pay somebody to shut up. You're allowed to pay somebody.
That's what I don't understand, Jade, help me out on this. I don't understand. They paid her $130,000 to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
She comes out and sues because she doesn't want to shut the fuck up anymore. An NDA is a contract. Contracts laws are why it's the difference between us and the animals. Okay, so how is she able to come out and start all this horse shit, right? And I believe that it never happened. I so believe that it never happened. I believe it
Oh,
because I always talk about the guy George who was a former doorman to one of Trump's buildings, and right before the 2016 election, he went to the National Enquirer and said, "I have a story that Donald Trump fathered a child from one of his female employees." And so they offered him, the guy that runs it, offered him $30,000 so that he owned the story, so that nobody else could grab it. But and they talk about the National Enquirer. No, he got like 4 of his top investigators to go out and vet the story, and they found nothing. They said it's a hoax. There's absolutely no women. He had no affair. He didn't have a kid with it. There's nothing. So the guy got away with 30 grand. But why did the guy do it? Because he said, okay, so we're like 2 months out. What presidential candidate who has the potential of winning here, who would not pay that off? Because you don't want the problem in the news. You know what they would have done to Trump had the guy been a despicable prick at the National Enquirer, right? You know what they would have done. Everybody would have jumped on him, right? So they paid it. Well, they didn't pay it. The National Enquirer did, and he took a hit for 30 grand, right? Well, that's what Cohen saw. He said, okay, so you want to make 130 grand or whatever the number was that he said. Here's what we do. You come out and say, like, we have pictures of you where you met him. And she may have gone to his home. But Melania lived there at the time, too. Well, she may have been away. Shut the fuck up already. You know, I don't believe
matter. What does it matter? He's a womanizer. He's banging some.
Yeah, exactly. But guess what? He lowered my taxes. He closed the border.
What does it matter?
My wallet was thicker.
You know, when Bill Clinton did it, I said, what does it matter? The fact that he lied to the public and made such.
Well, he lied under oath. That's different. He lied under oath. He's the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, and he lied under oath. He lied about a blowjob for his wife wouldn't find. He should have done it outside of being under oath. Then I would have been like, you know what? I don't care.
But you know
who lied under oath?
You know who set that up?
Because he threatened people.
Hillary Rodham.
No, she may have.
No, she did, because she was there. Because she's had, you know, she had her sights on the presidency for some time. And then when this whole thing with Clinton came up, she said, no, you can't do that. You can't do it like Johnson would. You know what Johnson would have said?
Yeah.
Johnson would have said, that's just the woman that, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
Save me from saying it. But she said, no, you can't do that. You have to deny it because I'm going to run for president and that would embarrass me.
Right.
And yeah, she's been behind so much shit that it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. They call him Justice. Judge Juan Merchan, who oversaw a trial in which jurors found Trump guilty of concealing a payoff to hit a sex scandal from voters, sentenced the Queens native to unconditional discharge during the brief hearing in Manhattan Supreme Court. Supreme Court in Manhattan in New York is not the highest court. In fact, it's one of the lower courts. It's weird, but that's the truth. So
Chris has a request.
Oh, what's that? I can't see anything when I'm reading. Let me see. Chris, what is it? Phobe Trump. Is that it? Germaphobe Trump sleeping with an ugly porn whore?
No, Chris Hunter.
Oh, Chris Hunter. I'm sorry. Hey, bro. I know when you get a chance to talk about the View, Sonny Hostin's surgeon husband. Yeah, he's accused of insurance fraud.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. Yeah, you gotta love it, man. These people. Now, there was an interview I saw earlier today. I may have put it in the list. It was God, I forget her name right now, but she was a blonde that was on there for like 3 years. She was the token conservative, right? Well, she said that the show was never, ever supposed to be about politics. It's just that the women that were on the show were all left-wingers, and so they make everything about politics. They take a shit, it's about politics, right? So the thing is, sorry for the graphic there, Jade, but The thing is that she said it was supposed to be like, they'll come up with some flowery topic, raising kids, and then you get a different viewpoint because every woman on the show is from a different background. And that's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, well, that's when Baba Wawa was on.
Yeah. If you could be a twee, any kind of twee in the world, what kind of twee would you be? I never forgot that. All right. So we don't even need to finish this. We know what happened. Trump basically, today Trump did a massive takedown in his speech, but he did it like a gentleman. He was calm, cool, relaxed, transactional. I'm sorry. He was transactional. And he just, I was like, wow, that's the way to do it, man. He just ripped everybody. He ripped them to shreds. He even did it during the trial. Or during the sentencing hearing. He did it during the sentencing hearing. I was like, way to go, bruv. And you know what? They're going to, I heard a rumor that, no, let's do the story. We have it. Hang on.
Are your security clearances to rumor?
Yeah. Let me do this story. This is the one I was just mentioning. I forgot that I put it up there. Here we go. Ready? Mike Walls to clean out deep staters from National Security Council. That's the National Security Council that's in the White House, right? Quote, we're taking resignations at 12:01 on January 20. Gotta love it. They got to fire them all. Fire them all. What happened the first time around was Obama planted 4 people, I think it was, inside the National Security Council, and they were literally reporting back to Obama.
Okay, wait. Mike Walls?
Yeah. Yeah, why?
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking, you know who I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of Tim Walz.
Thank you.
He's a national security advisor. Trump, he's going to be. So incoming, let me increase that. Incoming national security advisor Mike Walz told Breitbart News exclusively that every intelligence official from the various departments and agencies across the federal government currently detailed to the National Security Council at the White House under outgoing President Dementia Joe will be expected to vacate the premises by 12:01 p.m. Eastern on Inauguration Day when President-elect Donald Trump is inaugurated again. Nice. Waltz, in a phone interview earlier this week, told Breitbart he's making sure everyone understands that it's crystal clear what the agenda is. You're freaking out of here. Everybody is going to resign at 12:01 on January 20, Waltz said. We're working through our process to get everybody their clearances, and through the transition process now, our folks know who we want out in the agencies. We're putting those requests in, and in terms of the detailees, they're all going to go back. The way the NSC works is a national security advisor oversees a team of political appointees from the president who oversee a wide range of what are called detailees, people who work at the various agencies and departments across the deep state, who are assigned or detailed to work at the White House for a period of time on the NSC, blah, 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 blah. These career intelligence, there's a word, I know, officials come from places as wide-ranging as the FBI, CIA, NSA, and the Pentagon and other law enforcement alphabet agencies, and report up to the political appointees atop each major portfolio in the NSC, National Security Council. It has various issue-specific portfolios like counterterrorism, cyberpod, yada, yada, yada. Or if you're Joe Biden, it's mainly focused on going after those MAGA extremists. One of the major problems Trump faced in his first term came from inside the NSC with some of these detailees, as the person who spearheaded the first impeachment, Alexander Vindman. He was placed in there by Obama. Obama says, oh, I'm so glad that we had an administration where we didn't have all these embarrassing scandals. They had more scandals than anybody. I think he had more scandals than Joe Biden, and Joe Biden had a lot of scandals. The issue with Vindman wasn't during transition. The issue with Vindman was he was already slated to transfer, but didn't come in until the summer or fall after. Why? So that's one. Number two, the folks that we're bringing in are 100% aligned with the president's agenda. And, that's another thing, Jade. They always say, oh, you don't work for one man. Yeah, you fucking do. Pretty much the Constitution says that.
You kind of do.
The president is the chief executive of the United States of America. You work for the president. That's who you work for. No, I work for Eddie over there. No, Eddie works for the president, so you work for the president.
Commander-in-chief.
They don't fucking understand that. I don't know why that's so difficult for these people. It's like they got 3 inches of concrete in their head to get to that brain. My God. Hell, the entire world seems to be aligned with his agenda if you just look at the outreach from world leaders and everybody who wants to come to Mar-a-Lago. You know what it is, too? They know what just happened. They know that we just ended a Marxist revolution. If Kamala won, we were in for a freaking Soviet nightmare. I'm convinced of that. We're in for a Soviet nightmare.
And World War III.
Oh, you have no idea. Yeah,
Soviet nightmare.
So they're draining the swamp at the National Security Council, which means, I'm sorry to interrupt, which means that it's also going to, the tentacles will drag back to all those agencies. And you're going to have Tulsi Gabbard that's going to be in charge of that, which I'm okay with that. I didn't like her up until like very recent, like the last 9 months or so, because she voted for every progressive thing that Nancy Pelosi told her to vote for.
But she had to.
I understand that, but if you got balls, you know what I'm saying. If you got balls, you're going to stand up and say, go fuck yourself.
But she did, and she was out.
What's up, Packer?
And that's the point, is that...
Sheila, how you doing, girlfriend? Hey, Bass, what's going on, bruv? Good to see you guys. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You do that to me all the time.
Gotta say hi to our peeps, man.
But no, Tulsi, I think she's okay. She was in that swamp, and
Linda.
she kept responding to their demands until it pushed her to a certain point.
Yeah.
And that's when
she got out. Yeah.
That's when she grew a set and said, no, I can't do this. And she has been pretty reasonable since then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like her now.
You know,
I do.
I think she tried.
I read a lot about her, like what her agenda is and whatnot.
She tried to fit in because there were some things that she liked about liberal policies. And then the elastic just stretched further and further. And I like her. Yeah. What she's now the
National Security Advisor.
National Security Advisor.
Yeah.
And Tim Walz is.
That means, you know what that means? She's in charge of every single intelligence agency.
Oh,
they all report to her.
Yeah. CIA, FBI.
And I know Sebastian Gorka, he's the deputy counterterrorism guy.
And Tim Walz is
making tampons up in Minnesota.
Not Tim Walz.
Oh, Mike Waltz.
Mike Walz.
Yeah. He's in national security as well. I can't remember what he is. She is. Wait a minute. What is she? She's the national intelligence. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, because I think Mike Walz might be the national security advisor. Tulsi is.
Hold on. Tulsi Gabbard. What's she going to be? What's she going to be? God, do you think they would want to? Oh man. Positions of Tulsi Gabbard. Holy
Director of National Intelligence.
There you go. That's
what she is. She's the DNI.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of it.
DNI. That's
DNI.
It. She's the one that everybody will respond to.
She's DNI. Yeah, and Mike Walz is the National Security Advisor.
Right. I got it. I got it bass backwards. Bobby, you here? Oh yeah, he is. That's right. What's up, brother? What's up, guys? Thank you for being here. Let's go to the next one. Oh, I got one for y'all. You're gonna love this. Kamala. Let's see, where is it? Kamala. Here it is. Let me go this way.
Hey, did you hear that Mike Pence wouldn't shake Trump's hand at Carter's funeral?
He shook his hand.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. Absolutely, he did. You're going to see it. Well, hang on.
I had heard that he wouldn't shake Trump's hand.
Well, this little piece is a gem, guys. It's called "Inside Kamala's Head" during Jimmy Carter's funeral. Ready? Here we go.
Well, this got to be the best way to end the worst week of my life. You know, Barack and Trump sitting next to each other. Okay, y'all want to play games. Keep testing me. Keep on testing me. I need to hear what they're talking about, but Doug is as dumb as he is deaf. This man is as useless as Tim's tampons. I need to hear what's going on. You know, Barack got bigger balls than Michelle for doing this to me. Maybe I'm just overreacting. All right, Kamala, it's game time. Pretend to read and just try to focus on what they say. Maybe Barack is telling him off. Maybe you got this all wrong. I bet he's telling him we can't wait to lock his ass up. You tell him, Barack. Is he giggling? So first I gotta tolerate the Benghazi bitch getting the Medal of Honor, and now this? All right, you know what? Y'all are already on thin ice. If one person says one more damn thing to me, I swear to God. Oh, the power couple is here. Of course Jill sits next to me. All right, Kamala. If she says some shit to you, I just gotta be graceful, right? I gotta be a joyful warrior. Oh, bitch, you got me fucked up. Jill, I will unburden you. I will unburden what has been. I will unburden.
I love that.
Oh, man. I didn't expect that at the end.
Oh, man, I love that. Yeah, it was all AI, but I love that shit, man.
I didn't expect that at the end.
Nah. Top special K. I know. I thought that was funny as hell.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, the one I wanted to read, I believe, was. Is it this guy? Yeah, this guy. You got. This is good. This is from Epoch Times. I refuse to call it Epic Times. Oh, here we go.
That's what they call it.
No, they call it Epoch Times. Other people call it Epic Times, but I've heard many of them on there on their TV.
Every time I listen, like maybe to Joshua Phillips or anything, he always says.
Yeah, some of them call it
over
Epic,
on
but others
Epic
call it
Times.
Epoch. But
They always say the rest of the show is over on Epic Times.
Yeah, that's one guy's opinion. I've heard many of them say Epic Times too. I've heard talk show radio hosts say it both ways. It's like Kamala or Kamala. You know, remember when they bitched about everybody saying her name wrong, and then I think it was Bongino played a video of her saying her own name is Kamala. All right, ready? This guy Jackson Richmond, or is it Reichman? Trump reacts to unconditional discharge. President-elect Trump criticized Juan Merchan's sentence of an unconditional discharge, which means no penalty, but keeps his conviction in the legal record. Quote, that result alone proves that as all legal scholars and experts have said, there is no case, there never was a case, and this whole scam fully deserves to be dismissed. That's what he posted. Trump said he'll appeal. Okay, next one. Trump given an unconditional discharge. Judge Juan Merchan said he'll give President Trump, elect Trump, an unconditional discharge. This means no penalty issued, yada, yada. The sentencing formalizes Trump's felony conviction. Trump is expected to appeal. The next one, Jacob. After President-elect Trump defended his innocence, Judge Juan Merchan began speaking from the bench. Merchan said, can you believe he said Godspeed to him as president? He said, it was President Godspeed. Merchan said, you know what? I think he was terrified that they were going to do lawfare on him. That's what I think he was afraid of. Merchan said a judge must consider a case's facts and any mitigating or aggravating circumstances. Quote, never before has this court been presented with such a unique and remarkable set of circumstances. You think? You guys fucking lied. You broke laws. You didn't believe in due process. Jesus Christ. Trump calls case an embarrassment. President-elect Donald Trump said during his sentencing for the falsification of business records that the case was an embarrassment to New York. Quote, I got indicted over calling a legal expense a legal expense. He did. I just want to say, I think it's an embarrassment to New York, and New York has a lot of problems, but this is a great embarrassment. Trump speaks. After President-elect Donald Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, rebutted the prosecution, Trump spoke virtually via Teams. This has been a very terrible experience. I think it has been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system. President-elect called it a political witch hunt because it was. He says, I very, very much disagree with much of what the government just said about this case, about the legitimacy of what happened in this courtroom during this trial, and about President Trump's conduct fighting this case. Exactly. See, they put a gag order on Trump and his lawyers, but not on the prosecution. So the prosecution's out there every day lying their asses off to the media. And Trump's, they put a gag order on because they didn't want him to go out there and go, look, this is lawfare. We paid a legal expense and we called it a legal expense. What's the crime? Holy Christ, right?
I just hope that Juan Marchand learns the name of Kash Patel and sees that name very frequently over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me? I can't remember the movie, but there's a scene. It's Joe
Yeah.
Pesci,
You're
and
right.
I believe he's playing a lawyer, and
Uh-huh.
he comes up to the jury box, and he says in that Joe Pesci voice, he said, you know, everything that guy just said, it's all bullshit. He turns around and walks.
Yeah.
You know the scene?
Yeah.
I can't remember what movie it's from.
Let me go. There you go.
But this case makes me think of that scene.
There you go. We have. We're going to do Chuck U. Schumer. Charles Schumer, Steve wrote this. Charles Schumer pinpoints the reason Kamala Harris lost. The voters. Duh. Despite the Democrats' best effort to rig the presidential election, Kamala Harris lost. Schumer claims the reason is that the voters did not understand how much the Democrats did for them. Can you imagine this? It reminds me of the day after Hitler punched his own ticket. His spokesman, Charlemagne Schubert, said the reason that Hitler was forced to commit suicide was because the Jews did not realize how much the Nazis had done for them. And what did Joe Biden do and the Democrats do for the voters? Oh, here we go. Disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal that resulted in 13 dead U.S. service members. Seriously. By the way, I want to tell you guys, my son came home yesterday from a 9-month stint in Eastern Europe. He came home. I have pictures. Home is Texas for him. And his mom flew down there. I didn't know she was going. I would have gone, but I didn't know. And just for that. But let's call it. So there's a picture of him hugging his fiance. They're getting married in March. I'm going to Texas in March. And so he gets home yesterday. Today he goes out and buys a brand new Ford Bronco. I'm like, way to go. It's a beautiful car, too. It's a 2024 leftover. It has like 188 miles on it. I was like, yeah, that's people test driving it around the dealership or taking it to get gas, you know? Yeah, man.
Did he buy the O.J. Simpson special?
Yeah. I don't really know. Hang on. I'll show you the photos. Well, I got the one photo anyway.
The O.J. Simpson special options.
Yeah. There you go. There we go.
Sorry, that was just a joke.
That's him with his fiance. They hadn't seen each other in 9 months.
Well, I hope that's his fiance.
Yeah, well, of course it is. Yes. But then the car, I don't know how I'll get that up because I have that in my let's see, maybe I can.
We can all look up a picture of the Ford Bronco. Move on.
Yeah, I know. Fuck off. No, let's see.
Did you just tell me to fuck off?
I did. I actually did. He deserves a risk. Yeah.
I think I'm offended. Wait a minute. No, I'm not offended.
No, you're not offended. You're from Colorado. Nothing can offend you. The liberals have taken that out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. May the Welsh be with you always. And it will be. All right. What's next? We got Biden's people are still. All right, let's go over the fire. Oh, good Lord. If there's ever a reason for California to go Republican, this is it. All right. How the Los Angeles fires became so devastating. Devastating images have emerged of the immense destruction wrought by several fires in the Los Angeles area this week. These will, and Bobby, we are not talking about you. We love you, man. These will likely be the costliest wildfires in U.S. history, overtaking the 2018 Camp Fire that destroyed Paradise, California. Many are looking for a clear culprit to blame for this disaster with climate change. Yeah, it's climate change. It's that climate change over there. You know, the thing you can't see, but we say exists, being one of the most popular. The fires, however, are the result of both natural and human factors. Climate change may have played a role, but other more direct causes weren't. Yeah, like you didn't do your forestry management again, right? You shipped water because of the smelt, little 2-inch thing. You shipped water. The runoff water, you shipped it out to the Pacific Ocean, and now your firefighters don't have fucking water to fight the fire. Right, all right. Fire danger is a product of meteorological conditions and fuel, the presence of brush and other flammable materials. Yeah. You also need an ignition. You can't start a fire without a spark. Really? They caught one guy starting one of the fires. He might have been an illegal. Well, he looked like an illegal. That's the racist portion of my show. Yeah, he looked like an illegal, but I don't know. So I'm saying allegedly. On the meteorological front, Southern California recently experienced an intense Santa Ana windstorm. Yeah, like they never, the Santa Ana winds, they never happen. They happen all the time. Look, in a nutshell, Democrat policies in California have made wildfires a seasonal event. It's like every season you have fires. We all look at it and go, what the fuck is these guys' problems? You know, like Texas has the same amount. Southern states on the East Coast have as much of the brush and all the shit on the floor. It's just that they take care of it. You know, and I remember Trump when he talked about, I think it was Sweden, he said Sweden, no, Finland. It was Finland. He said when he was president, he said, you know, Finland, they do a lot of clearing out, like cleaning, they call it. It's raking, really. But the problem with raking, if you watch my video today, was they charge it. Now, years ago, it was $50,000. I don't know what it's up to now, but there was a kangaroo rat that they worried that if you were to rake, which is you get rid of everything except the dirt, like 50 yards, sometimes 100 yards around your property, and that way it forms a firewall. So if the fire comes, you know, if any embers come over, that's not going to start a fire. And if it does, you squirt it out with a squirt gun. All right. But because of the kangaroo rat and other little bastards that they think are on the endangered species list, you can't rake your own home. So the libnuts out there care more about a rat. Let's face it. Put the word kangaroo away. It makes it sound cool, you know, because we guys that aren't Aussies don't understand that they don't like kangaroos down there. But we think they're kind of cool because we don't have to deal with them, right? So the kangaroo rat, it's a rat. So the rat is more important than human beings and their property in California. And so what happens is you see rich people, their homes never burn. You know why? Because they can afford the fines. So they'll pay the 50 grand if they get caught, but they rake their home and their homes don't burn down. That's unless there's a lot of fuel around their homes, and then they would burn down anyway. But fact of the matter is the forestry management out there is for shit. I used to work for Asplund, and let me tell you something. We knew a lot about doing this, and in California, it was very hard to get them to agree to it in a lot of areas. I mean, Jesus Christ, out there, they're just out of their minds. Yeah.
You know what?
Whoever smelt it dealt it.
You know what the natural cycle of a forest is?
Yeah.
It grows. Parts of it die.
Yeah.
You have areas that burn, and it's usually a smaller area because every year you get smaller fires, and it clears out the brush, and it allows the new trees to grow. And this is a natural thing. And, you know, about the rat, I am all about conservation and species preservation. But the fact is, there's an even bigger picture, because if you take a look at this, at the Earth, 98% of species that have ever existed on this Earth are extinct.
Yeah,
98%.
And think about this: how many species do we discover each year as well? A lot.
So, you know, like I said, I'm all about conservation. That's great. But the fact is, the natural cycle of a forest is to grow,
Louis here,
burn, and be reborn.
Louis said, "I love smelts. Baked garlic, onion covered with breadcrumbs, an Italian Christmas Eve favorite." Yeah, well, they're rerouting water in California for the smelt into the Pacific Ocean, and now they don't have water. Oh my God! But you know, they do have DEI hires for the new fire chief, and she was bitching today.
Special case comment. Post special case comment. It's true.
What's that?
Giant sequoias. Post his comment.
Yeah.
It's true. There's a lot of that's the whole point of what I was saying. The natural history and evolution of the forests.
Right.
This is part of it. And so
Brush lawn matters.
100 or however long we've been, you know, concentrating on, well, just don't start a fire and you'll be fine. And all of a sudden we've got 100 years of underbrush built up, and we've got a complete imbalance in the forest. And now when something goes up, you don't have 100 acres that burns. You have 10,000 acres that burn.
Yep.
And so
here
yeah,
you go.
Their forestry management, because you got to clear that stuff out.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, here you go. Well, my point earlier was that Trump, when he was saying, like, look, the reason why they have these problems because they don't do forestry management out there. Do you know that you can go to college? There's many colleges that will give you a degree in forestry management. So they have DEI hires out there. They send all their freaking, well, not all, but a lot of their fire equipment to Ukraine, right? Right? But they won't hire a forestry management guy. One guy is all it takes. And they'll go, guys, I think we should rake here and we should clean this out and brush this out. Well, Trump said that it was Finland. He said, yeah, they put a lot of time and effort into clearing out. And he goes, and it works. And they all laughed at him. They all flipping laughed at him. Let me see if Finland. Yeah, because I have it on
Yeah,
one.
but they spent most of their time, energy, and money on making sure there weren't as many white men in the fire service.
Well, there you go.
Here we
go.
I am so about meritocracy.
Oh, yeah. Meritocracy is the way to go. But the problem is you have a bunch of life's losers that don't like that. And so what they do is they get with a bunch of other life losers and they create Antifa. No, I mean, what they do is they go and create groups and they try to get political power. And then they say, when they get political power, they say to the Democrats, they say, well, look, you have to do something because we're life's losers and we don't have any merit because we don't really want to do anything. That's what they say. And hang on, my son just hit me up, my oldest.
Yeah, but we want the government to cut us a big fat check every month.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys.
TikTok.
I know. That's the story I'm about to do on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the stories.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Hang on.
See, I was just introducing it for you.
Thank you. See that guy? She set it up for me. Awesome. All right. So
I set up the relay.
Yeah. Supreme Court playing scoop and losing. So what is it? Oh, there it is. All right. So here we go. Supreme Court seems skeptical of TikTok's bid to overturn forced divestiture law. What's going on is Congress they passed a law and it was signed into law that I think it's by the 19th of this month that if TikTok doesn't sell at least a portion of it to an American owner, if you will, they're going to ban it in the United States. And a lot of people go, oh, you should use TikTok, isn't it? No, the Chi-Coms own it. It's a private company. There's no such thing in China. There's no such thing as a private company. The Chi-Coms own everything. Yeah, but the other guys run it. Yeah, but they're controlled by the Chi-Coms, which means they own it. And so they know that the software on your phones, that it spies on you. They can turn the camera on without you knowing it. They can listen in on you without you knowing it. Or if you know it, they don't give a shit. They'll take pictures. They go through, everything on your phone that could possibly be seen. They do it. And it's all through the app. And that's why they came up with this law and said, look, we don't trust you. So therefore, you got to have an owner in there that we would trust, which would be an American that we vet. And so now they're in court saying, oh, this is a First Amendment thing. Really? Does the fucking Chinese Communist Party have First Amendment rights in the United States? Well, Joe Biden would say yes, because they gave him $31 million. But I would say no. Foreign governments do not have First Amendment rights inside the United States.
Organizations and companies do not have rights.
Well, they do now.
People have rights.
Well, yeah, but after Citizens United, corporations are people. That's what the whole Citizens United was about. They wanted to be able to say that corporations, China, that corporations are really people. A corporation is a piece of paper. You put a stamp on it and you throw it in your drawer and you never look at it again. That piece of paper isn't, this is my argument. That piece of paper is not running your corporation. People are. So people in a corporation should be able to pool their money and donate it to Donald Trump. I mean, to a guy that you want to be president, right? The reason why the libnuts are so fucking angry at Citizens United is because Citizens United allowed corporations to do what the unions have been doing for decades prior to Citizens United. So the unions donate their dues money, which is supposed to go towards contract arbitration for their members, but no, they donate it to, why do that when they can donate it to Democrats who will create laws in their favor after getting elected? First thing a Democrat always does after an election is they talk about raising the minimum wage for the little guy. It's never for the little guy. They're full of crap. It's for the unions, because the unions have their wage is set to the federal minimum wage. So that means if the federal minimum wage goes up 20%, their already inflated pay is going up 20%. So the little guy gets $1.75. They make like $5 an hour, $6 an hour, $7 an hour, whatever the hell it is. Right? That's what that's all about. So I don't get into that crap with them, but that's just me. Let me finish this. Supreme Court seems skeptical. Okay, the High Court considered the social media platform's emergency request to pause a law requiring it to sever Chinese ties. U.S. Supreme Court justices seem skeptical of TikTok's request to halt a federal law requiring indirect owner ByteDance to divest itself from the company by January 19 or cease U.S. operations. See, here's the thing. Democrats look at the courts, and I'm saying Democrats because left-wingers in general, they look at the courts as, well, we can't get what we want through legislation, so we'll get the courts to do it for us. No, the Supreme Court is to look at this and to say, okay, so the United States Congress created a law to do X, Y, and Z. Did they do anything unconstitutional in that law? I would say yes, but that's because I'm an originalist. They don't have the right to do it. They don't have. I don't think the federal government has the right to tell even a foreign, TikTok, that I don't think they have the right to tell a private company what they can and can't do. That they don't have the right to do that. It's not written in there. The Commerce Clause, no, that doesn't cover it, even though they think that's a magical clause for them. It doesn't give them the right to do it. If there's only 18 powers, Article 1, Section 8, it's called the enumerated powers. And if it's not there, guess what? Congress can't do it, but they can do it if they ask the states for permission. So if they want to be able to tell social media companies what they can and can't do, they got to ask the states, hey, do you mind if we take that power away from you? And it's in the form of an amendment, but they stopped doing that 100 years ago because it's too hard. All right, so their comment.
The federal government does have the authority to negotiate with foreign powers and create treaties that must be ratified by the Congress.
Right, but that's not what this case is about. This case is they're saying, look, you have your software, and it's inside our people. We're going to ban it unless you distance yourself from ByteDance, because ByteDance is owned by China. It's owned by the government, and it does the things on it that they say that have been discovered, like they reverse engineered the software and found out that what it's doing is it's actually spying on people.
Well, you know what that's all about. If there's enough young people using it 20 and 30 years later, when some of these kids grow up and become senators, and the Chinese have a long list of indiscretions that you were guilty of when you were a teenager, guess what?
Yeah.
They got a hold on you. But yeah, I mean, this is a foreign country, and like for instance, the president can, with a stroke of a pen, prevent importation of certain goods, just like that.
Where does he get that power?
I can't quote you chapter and verse, but they did it. They've done it with firearms.
Yeah, I understand, but they don't really. Okay, let me just say, I'm not trying to disagree with you, but
But that one, I think they did pull out.
I'm not trying to give you a hard time, is what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that the only powers the federal government really has is the 18 enumerated and any amendments that we have. They break that law. They break that all the time.
Well,
every time, like think about it. Social Security, was that listed? Any kind of retirement plan listed in the enumerated powers? No, but they did it, right? Medicare, Medicaid. You know, when you argue this, the libs go, "You don't hurt seniors." No, I want the fucking government to live up to the Constitution to the way they want me to live up to the law, right? So all this stuff, they could have had it if they asked for an amendment. They don't want to do that. So they created these things, like they say, the Commerce Clause allows the government to tell every company what they can and can't do. That's not true. Not true at all.
No, but the feds, and you know a lot about this, so correct me if I'm wrong, the feds do have the power to negotiate on behalf of the United States with other foreign powers.
The president can do that, but he has to get advice and consent from the Senate.
Yes, and the second part of the sentence was to negotiate treaties that must be ratified by the Senate.
Right, and the thing is, the Constitution also says that those treaties, that they automatically become federal law once they're ratified. Okay, but what Democrats have been doing as of late, because Obama did it and Biden did it, they take things that are supposed to be treaties and they don't treat it like a treaty because they know they'd never get past the Senate, like the Iran deal. That whole thing, think about that. The Iran deal, that thing should have gone through the Senate for advice and consent, but they knew that even Democrats would vote against that. Right? Even they would vote against it because it was bullshit. In the appendix, it gave Iran the right to have a nuclear bomb within 15 years of. And you know something else? That Iran deal was never signed. Nobody, the Iranians didn't sign it. Lurch, whatever his name is, he didn't sign it. Right? Obama didn't sign it. Curry, that's his name, John Curry. I call him Lurch. Yeah, he from the Addams family. He didn't. Nobody signed it, and yet they say it's in effect. Right? So that should have gone through the Senate. Obama didn't want to do it because he's a piece of shit, and he didn't want to have to put it through and do the song and dance to say that it's a good thing. So the other thing was that climate change bullshit in Paris, the Paris Accord, whatever the hell it was called. That should have been a treaty. Why is it a treaty? Because it would have affected, like Trump pointed out, we would have lost over 1 million jobs because of that. He calls Fetterman Lurch.
So
I call him Uncle Fester.
I was just going to ask the same question. Who do you call Lurch? No, Lurch is
he's from the Addams family.
Fetterman.
Yeah, Fetterman. No, Fetterman. I don't call him Lurch. I call him Uncle Fester. Because he's wide and he's bald and he just looks weird. And I can say that because I am just the finest specimen. Kidding. Curry, why the long face? Hey, you got a horse face.
Well, hopefully we've heard the last of him.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. He's another one. But yeah, did you rang? Yeah. Did you hear that Fetterman got summoned to Mar-a-Lago? Trump wants to talk to him. And he'll go. When the president asks you to go, you go. So he'll go. And you know what gets me is, he came back from the brain dead. He was pretty much brain dead from his stroke, but now I don't see anything wrong with him except, he's a Democrat. Other than that,
But as I've said many times on this show, it's interesting to note that as he recovers from his brain damage, he becomes more and more conservative.
There you go. That is true. Anybody that seeks truth eventually ends up on our side. I believe that. Let me see. The Jays are using the West people to hate on the Islamics and vice versa. The Jays. Who are the Jays?
The Jews?
The Jews. Oh. So you hate Jews, do you? Well, you're in the right place for me. I'll argue with you till the end, but all right, whatever. Let me get back to this. So their comments came on January 10 in a dramatic legal showdown 9 days before the law is scheduled to take effect. Oral argument took place in TikTok Inc. versus Garland and its companion case, Fireball versus Garland. That rat face, Merrick Garland. President-elect Donald Trump, who will be inaugurated on January 20 and is himself a social media entrepreneur, filed a brief asking the justices to stay the law to give him an opportunity to develop a political solution when he returns to the White House. How about that? Did not know that. Trump was not represented by an attorney at the hearing, and his position on the case was not discussed at length. According to the emergency application filed by TikTok in 2023, there were about 170 million monthly users, U.S. users, on the platform who uploaded more than 5.5 billion videos that received upward of 13 trillion views, half of which occurred outside the United States. You know, they did change a lot of the video industry, because until they came along, I didn't know of any other platform that was, at the time when they started, was solely short videos. You know, because then you had Facebook that did reels, and then you have shorts on this platform, YouTube. You know, other platforms have their own, but you know, they really did change the industry that way, because people would watch more videos because there was more time to watch more videos if every video was a minute or less, right? So, but I don't think this has anything to do with competition. I think it has to do with their spying. In fact, the government told all federal workers, do not install that app on your government phone. Don't do it. And if you catch you, you're fired. Joe Biden, who leaves office days from now, signed the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. There's a name for you. On April 24, 2024, after it was passed by bipartisan majorities in the House and Senate. TikTok is operated in the United States by TikTok Inc., a U.S. company that Cayman Islands-based ByteDance Limited owns indirectly. TikTok acknowledges that ByteDance owns subsidiaries in China and other nations, but denies Chinese influence in its operations. What are they going to say? Yeah, Xi tells me what to do. Echoing criticism of TikTok expressed by lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, the law expresses national security-related concerns that the Chinese regime may access and abuse the personal data of American TikTok users. They are doing it, using it to seek strategic advantage over the United States and disseminate propaganda. They're doing it. But let's just hope the court, I don't know what's up Trump's sleeve to do something like that. Like he wants to look at it. Maybe he has a strategy. Who the hell knows? I have no idea. Let me see. Federal judge. Zuckerberg. There we go. Let's do a Zuck. What the Zuck? Let's do a Zuckerberg one. Here we go. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta nukes DEI programs and latest olive branch to MAGA. Don't trust this man. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta is terminating its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs effective immediately and will instead build initiatives that focus on how to apply fair and consistent practices that mitigate bias for all, no matter your background. This step continues Zuckerberg's attempt to extend an olive branch to Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. In other words, he's scared shitless that they're going to go after him for censorship. And it's, you can't do that. Yeah, if you did it on behalf of the federal government on Dementia Joe, then you're wrong. You're a government entity at that point. What was it? Marshall v. something, Alabama, I think it was. I'll look it up later. There was a company that owned a town. They built a town, and you lived there if you worked for the company. There were some women that went around and were putting up posters on telephone poles, which everybody did in the town, but it was pro-life stuff. And the town came back at them and said, you can't do that. And they said, well, we have the First Amendment right. They're like, not in this town. Well, the Supreme Court differed with them and said, no, if you are the company that owns the town and you make rules or laws, if you will, you are a de facto government inside the United States of America. And therefore, you have to live under the same rules that everybody else does, and you can't violate somebody's First Amendment right that way. You can't do it, and because they used to say, Well, the Bill of Rights only applied to the federal government, and that was true. But then when the 14th Amendment came out, and the 13th and the 15th, they said, the 14th was that magical amendment that gave the Democrats every little wish list item they wanted. And one of them was, well, now the Bill of Rights applies to the states. I don't believe that, but the Supreme Court, I think, upheld that. And so if you have the town square, say it was Twitter before X, and Dementia Joe and all his Nazis were telling X, you have to censor this, and this. If they say this, you can't let them. If you do this, all that bullshit, right? For those years that they did that, well, they're considered a de facto government if the government is telling them to do it. The government can't get away with it because they get a private. That's called fascism, by the way, where the government tells a private company to do what they can't do legally. And they call Trump a fascist. Trump never did anything like that. But that was like second nature to Joe Biden and the rest of his nuts in the administration. But anyway, social media giant made its decision because the legal and policy landscape surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in the United States is changing. The Supreme Court of the United States has recently made decisions signaling a shift in how courts will approach DEI. The term DEI has also become charged in part because it is understood by some as a practice that suggests preferential treatment of some groups over others. It's government-sanctioned bigotry, racism. That's what DEI is. It's a get-evenism for the liberals. Therefore, Meta will no longer have a DEI team. Maxine Williams, the company's chief diversity officer, there you go, she's out of a job, will begin a new role focused on accessibility and engagement, Gale-informed employees. Meta also plans to build programs, quote, that focus on how to apply fair and consistent practices that mitigate bias for all, no matter your background. Yeah, okay. They're still censoring me, 98%. The memo also announced changes to the company's hiring, development, and procurement practices, noting that it will no longer focus solely on sourcing business suppliers from diverse-owned businesses. It's another form of discrimination. Instead, Meta will focus our efforts on supporting small and medium-sized businesses that power much of our economy. Yeah, okay. Just don't bother me, Pam Bondi. With regards to hiring, Meta will continue seeking out employees from diverse backgrounds, but will no longer be using its diverse slate hiring approach, which ensures every pool of candidates considered for a position is diversified. In other words, anything but white males. We believe there are other ways to build an industry-leading workforce and leverage teams made up of world-class people from all types of backgrounds, except white males. They're not going to say that, but that's what they're going to do because they're so left-wing. You get the point. We don't need to go any further. So Zuck is trying to win favor with the new sheriff in town and with all his deputies. What do you think, Dave?
I think Zuckerberg waves like a flag in the wind.
Yeah.
He does what's good for him. He has zero morals and zero ethics. And he's just doing what he thinks is going to be the best for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's just looking out for himself. Let's go back to the let's pivot. We're going to pivot back to the fires in Cali. There we go. Plane scooping water from ocean to wildfires grounded after hitting a drone illegally flying over the Pacific Palisades. Can you believe this? Now, if this is one of these Chinese drones, the two super scooper planes were leased from Canada. They go and they get the water and they drop it over fires. A drone that was being illegally flown damaged and grounded a super scooper plane that was leased to help fight the damaging wildfires in Los Angeles. You know, if this is one of those drones and it did come from China, that's an act of war. Officials said the drone collided with the plane and left a fist-sized hole in its wing, which needed repair. Drones are not allowed to fly during firefighting efforts, and the Federal Aviation Administration is investigating the incident. Right. They're probably going to blame Donald Trump and those evil MAGA extremists. Two super scoopers were leased from Canada to help fight the tremendously damaging wildfires in Pacific Palisades and elsewhere in Southern California. As of Friday morning, Palisades wildfire had burned through more than 20,000 acres and destroyed more than 5,000 homes and businesses. Only 8% of the fire has been contained, but winds are dying down. The damaged plane will return to service on Monday when the numbers go up to 40,000 acres and 10,000 homes and businesses. Okay. Persons convicted of flying a drone during firefighting can face a prison sentence of up to 1 year, but it'll never happen. It's California. The FAA said that anyone who interferes with firefighting efforts can also be fined up to $75,000. Not a dime of it will be paid. Quote, the most important thing to know is that if you fly a drone at one of these brush fires, all aerial operations will be shut down, said LA County Fire Chief Anthony Marone. And we certainly don't want that to happen. Local California officials, most of whom are Democrats, are facing intense scrutiny over the lack of planning and coordination to save lives and homes from the conflagration. Democratic Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass was excoriated for going to Ghana with a U.S. delegation, bigot, just as officials announced that a life-threatening disaster was imminent. In another embarrassing episode, a Los Angeles Fire Department assistant chief who had been praised for being the first black woman, this is crazy, at her post was lambasted for an unearthed video where she appeared to mock fire victims. Holy crap. So there you go. In the land of the fruit and the nuts, if you're not one, you're another. Mayor Karen Dumbass. Dumbass. She's a dumbass. From London. Okay. Wow. So plane scooping's out because the drones, man. Let's see. Trump's in response. Elderly Canadian. Yeah, here's one. Our Canadian friends are just going to love this, but they already know. Hang on. I'm going to bring this up. I just share the news, guys. Elderly Canadians are pressured into euthanasia to avoid cost of treatments. Can you believe this? The government is saying, why don't you kill yourself? It'll just cost us 2 pills. You'll save a lot of money. Think of your children. Think of your children. Elderly Canadian citizens are being these fucking people are ghouls. Elderly Canadian citizens are being pressured into signing up for the government's euthanasia program in order to reduce the financial burden on the nation's socialized healthcare system. I thought it was great healthcare. We had that one woman. She's not in a big what do they call them in the parliament? I forget the parties. I forget what they call them, but she's not. They're extreme left-wing radical nut jobs, and she was saying, "Yeah, so you Americans, what do you get when you come to Canada? You get healthcare right away." It's like, what? They created a friggin' department to measure the sorrow and the anxiety of people having to wait 18 months for.
And you don't get healthcare right away. You have to be a Canadian citizen.
Exactly. I know. I mean, if my doctor wanted me to get a CAT scan, 2 hours later, I've got the CAT scan. If that long, up there, 9 months. An MRI, possibly 9 months.
Double that for a.
I was trying to be conservative because I knew you'd be like, no, it's not. But not because you're a medical person. But I heard it was like so long, and there were they created a department that measures the misery of people having to wait.
Elective surgery, 18 to 24 months.
Can you imagine? Holy man. One senior-aged Canadian couple has said that a hospice care center tried to make them feel guilty for seeking treatments for their treatable conditions. Guys, you realize when this kind of shit happens, you realize that you've lost your humanity when you're pushing euthanasia on people when they have treatable conditions because you don't want to spend the money. And all the lib nuts kept like every other country in the world has socialized medicine. Yeah, and they all suck. They all suck. You suck. And they said, well, yours is just too expensive. Yeah, but I can get a fucking MRI within an hour. At one point, I don't know if it's still true, but I remember reading a few years back that in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, my hometown, right? In my old hometown, there are more MRI machines in that city than there are in the entire country of Canada. That's freaking crazy. Of course, we have a lot of hospitals. Philly's known for its hospitals. We have a lot of really good hospitals, as a matter of fact, there. But that's kind of crazy when you think about it. And they go, socialized medicine, yeah. Nobody ever said, shit, yeah, goddamn, I need me some more of that socialized medicine. No one ever said that. Doctors reportedly told the couple that treating their conditions was absolutely possible, but it would be expensive. Yeah, that's why I pay taxes, asshole. However, the patients were sure they would be able to afford to pay for the treatments on their fixed income. Once it was suggested that the couple may need to utilize the state-funded healthcare system, the doctors quickly changed their tune and started pushing the government's cheaper medical assistance in dying MAID program instead of expensive treatments. The doctors insisted that euthanasia would be the best option. Yeah, dying would be the best option, as they were facing increased care costs they could not afford on their fixed income. I thought you didn't have to pay for anything up there.
And you know that free healthcare?
Yeah.
That free healthcare, you can have free healthcare if you're willing to pay literally in excess of 50% income tax.
Wow.
And I do mean literally. I paid the last full year I paid income tax in Canada, paid 52%. And that's right at source. That's before you have sales tax, before you have all kinds of, the excise tax, before you have any of that.
Yeah.
Before you even see it, you've lost more than half.
Wow. That's just... 71-year-old Fred Sandusky from Saskatchewan suffers from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. You shouldn't have smoked, along with a host of other ailments such as diabetes and epilepsy. His wife, Teresa, also has failing health. They say the idea of being killed by the government's euthanasia program was aggressively pushed onto them when they realized that they would not be able to cover the costs associated with increased care at a hospice center. And these left-wing freaking goons will come up with a law saying, well, if they don't want to kill themselves and they can't afford it, just throw them out. Let them live outside as a homeless person and die with dignity. These people are lunatics. According to the Epic Times, when Fred started with palliative care, quote, they were just listing us the availability of what options they had for us, and MAID was presented as one option. Kill yourself. You'll be saving a life. Thankfully, Sandusky refused MAID, saying, I really, really believe that the Lord has put me on this earth for a reason, and he's not going to let me go until I'm done. I bet that went over well with the atheists. Sandusky's plight was brought to the attention of the provincial government of Saskatchewan by the opposition New Democratic Party's shadow minister for seniors, Keith Jorgensen. Jorgensen encouraged Saskatchewan Health Ministry General Cockrell to help the couple. Oh, well, that's nice. In response, Cockrell said that he had reached out to the Sanduskys and would find a solution that's going to work for Fred and Teresa this week. Here, drink this. He added that when it comes to the care home having offered them MAID, death, as a solution to their plight, he would, quote, hope that any healthcare professional in this province having those discussions with a patient has a strong understanding of the patient's health and familial contact. Unfortunately, instances of people being railroaded into euthanasia as a solution to their health issues have become commonplace. God damn, most Canadians now fear the nation's euthanasia regime unfairly targets those who are financially and socially vulnerable. Guys, does it, for my Canadian friends here, and you, because Jade, you're a former Canadian, does it not seem like it's something that would be on like the Twilight Zone, like an episode on the Twilight Zone, right? Like, okay, so you reach a certain age and you have a health thing. Well, you got to sign up to kill yourself. It's for the good of the country. I'll never understand.
Remember a movie called Logan's Run?
Yeah.
And I forget what age it was. And you went into the machine. I don't know about Twilight Zone, but I've seen that approach on a couple of other science fiction things, including Star Trek.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
Logan's Run. Yeah, he just said that about that.
Logan's Run. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I mean, when you think about this, the left has always been an ideology of death. It's a death culture, right? You know, when you had your Dr. Kevorkians, right? Your assisted suicide shit, abortion, you know, it's all about death for these people. And now they're telling people in Canada, which it will be here soon too. They're telling people, you know, you could kill yourself. That's an option. You want to go for that? We don't have to spend money on you. You know, I don't know how you could be a doctor and sit down with someone and tell them that. Do they take the Hippocratic Oath still?
When I graduated, I had to appear in the dean and registrar's office, and there was a very large book that went back. The size of the thing, it could have
They
gone
made you read a
back
book?
years. It was
Yeah.
a very thick book, and it was open to, you know, the middle of it, and there was a page. And you came in, and one after the other, you printed and signed, and at the front of that book
Right.
was the Hippocratic Oath.
Oh, wow.
And it was a very formal procedure. And one by one, we went in and signed that book under the, you know, supervision, if you will, under the monitoring of the dean and the registrar.
Yeah. How about that?
And
Good.
um,
But do they do it today?
and you know what's like the first thing in the Hippocratic Oath?
What's that?
First, do no harm.
Yeah. Yeah.
First, do no harm. The interesting thing, and I am not familiar with this whole MAID. I'm
Stop
not
liquid.
familiar with it. I've never been, you know,
Nipple twisters.
involved with it. It's not something that I know or really want to know anything about, honestly.
Right.
But I've read that they are offering it to people with mental health conditions.
Hmm.
So, you know, you go to your doctor and say, I'm very sad, doctor. I'm so depressed. I'm feeling really bad. Well, have I got good news for you?
Oh, man. What a freaking world we live in now.
Can you imagine? Somebody's depressed. The
Yeah.
first thing, and you're going to allow that person to what the hell is that?
Purple nurples. Okay.
Where the hell has
They're getting goofy in the chat, which is when I love them the most.
Where the hell has this chat gone?
I know. I'm telling you. I know. Let's get to another one. Setting it up. John plans. Firefighting equipment. Oh yeah, this was interesting. About a singularity. It's the blaze. So a singularity, ChatGPT rates Glenn's 2025 predictions. So Glenn Beck made 2025 predictions and ChatGPT rated them. This is interesting. On this week's Glenn TV special, Glenn divulged his top predictions for 2025. And he's right about more than 50%. He's right on these when he does it. Except, what was it, the Mitt Romney election? Way off. While some of his predictions spelled hope for current geopolitical issues like the war in Ukraine, others took a more harrowing turn from AI reaching singularity, not yet, to a major banking crisis and a summer of rage 2.0. Here we go. Here's his first one. The internet will be destroyed and reborn through AI. I believe that. Summary: AI will restructure the internet, centralize control with tech giants, and raise concerns over censorship. ChatGPT probability 90%. Let me make it bigger. 90%. Further explanation. Glenn began with a harrowing fact. The internet, as we know it, is slowly dying. Well, Web 3 is coming up, but that'll die too. We don't truly have access to the internet in its entirety, but rather we have a small sliver curated by those who control the indexes and brokers of the web. That's why you have a dark web. The slow decline of the internet is evident in the increasing irrelevance of many existing pages and documents with countless dead links and broken websites. This issue demonstrates the growing problem of content disappearing, changing, or becoming irrelevant without updates to reflect these changes, yada, yada, yada. Number 2 prediction, AI and chat GPT innovations will be integrated into everyday life. I believe that. Chat GPT says 70%. AI will dominate search engines. They are already starting to. That's why they had to do Gemini on Google, because ChatGPT doesn't give you bullshit. In other words, like, well, any of the AIs, and now Claude used to, because I guess it was run by leftists who put that shit in there. But I think they learned that, their left-wing bias isn't going to make money for them. So the latest version, they don't really censor you as bad. So it'll dominate search engines, become personal assistants, and spark regulatory battles over ethics. Yeah, I think so. Number 3, AI will attain singularity. Not yet. Not in 2025. AI progress will remain uneven with no imminent singularity expected despite rapid advancements. Okay, 20%. Number 4, there will be a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. In what, 10 days? Yeah, because Trump, I have another story here. Trump is already setting a meeting up with Putin. A summary, a temporary ceasefire will freeze borders, but it will leave future conflict inevitable. 80% ChatGPT says the probability is. I think he's going to end it. There will be a second summer of rage. Of course there will be. Because the lefties right now, they're still in shock that they lost everything. They're still in shock, I think. And they still think that they're going to rule the roost. Because Democrats, you think about it, every time Republicans took charge of something in the Congress, Democrats still acted like they were in charge. They would get shit through. It's like, wait a minute. Why do you guys do power sharing and stuff like that, you GOP a-holes? Stop it. Stop it now. All right. Summary.
Well, you'll notice when the Democrats are in charge, they're just in charge. When they lose, now they want to come and say, okay, let's do.
We need bipartisanship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will you give us bipartisanship? Anti-Trump protests will escalate into violent riots targeting infrastructure and triggering martial law in areas. ChatGPT thinks 75% that's true. 6, the largest anti-Western caliphate will emerge. Maybe. Middle Eastern factions may consolidate to control energy routes, destabilizing global markets. 60% says GPT. Following Biden's controversial tenure and failures in handling the Middle East, a new anti-Western caliphate will emerge as various terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and the Houthis and the Taliban unite under several leaders rather than one. Well, a caliphate really means there's only one, right? When you have a caliphate, it's like it's like their pope, the Grand Mufti, I think they called him. These groups who worked with Hitler, by the way. These groups will receive support from Russia, North Korea, and China, creating a formidable alliance. That I believe. Well, I don't know about Russia. I know North Korea and China, but I don't know about Russia unless Putin looks at that as, the transaction is really good for his country. But I don't see him getting in with Al-Qaeda, ISIS, the Houthis, and the Taliban, because look, he had Chechnyan Muslims that they had to take out. If you remember all that, they had their own problems with Muslims. I don't see Russia doing that. Their objective will be to control approximately 30% of the world's energy supply by seizing key oil routes through the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and the Red Sea. Not with Trump. 7, China will invade a neighboring country. Gosh, I wonder which one. China could target weaker nations under the guise of peacekeeping to assert dominance. 55%. ChatGPT says. Number 8, U.S. stock market will collapse and ensure a banking crisis. That might happen because the fourth turning should have happened in the 1980s, and we've been holding it off. Oh, it's going to be bad. Summary, rising rates and layoffs may trigger a stock market meltdown and small business disruptions. 50%, it predicts the probability. 9, North Korea will provoke South Korea. They do that every day. Small-scale attacks by North Korea will distract from larger conflicts involving China and Russia. 40% possibility. Now, 10, Those connected to Sean Diddy Combs and Jeffrey Epstein will be revealed. I think so too. Investigations into scandals face resistance from powerful players, making progress unlikely. Well, they say 15%. I don't know. Probably because they know that these rich folks, they always protect themselves, but I don't know. 11, Trump will appoint 2 Supreme Court justices. Yes, because I think Clarence Thomas, you should let that dear man, you should let him retire and live the rest of his life with his wife. Seriously. And Alito's in his 70s too. I think he's 73. He should retire as well. But replace him with very young conservatives. Amy Coney Barrett has been a freaking disappointment. She just ruled. She ruled with the lefties and Roberts, but I repeat myself, on not putting a stay on the sentencing in New York until the appeals court would be able to get through it. But he couldn't appeal until he was actually convicted. Right?
Yeah. I would like to see Trump be able to replace Clarence Thomas, not because I don't like him. I'd like to see 9 clones of him as a Supreme Court.
Oh, absolutely. He's the best one on there right now.
But he's getting older, and he needs to consider.
Well, I said he should retire and spend time with Ginny.
Yeah. So let's replace Clarence Thomas. Let's replace Roberts.
You can't. Nah. He's too young, and he's the Chief Justice. You know what it would look like to replace the Chief Justice?
Listen, I said I would like.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't say it was going to happen.
I understand English.
And then Sotomayor.
Yeah, Sotomayor. Oh, yeah. She'll just stay on because she wants to keep selling children's books. Yeah,
let her go sell children's books. She's got a lot of health problems. She's not as old as Clarence Thomas, but she's not a youngster. Right. She's got health problems.
Spring chicken.
If we can move Sotomayor, actually, if you think about it, we can move her along and give Clarence Thomas the opportunity to retire.
Yeah.
And then let's get rid of John Roberts.
I got to be honest with you. I would miss him so much. Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Did you ever, notice he never speaks, hardly ever speaks during oral arguments.
Well,
the rest all, they interrupt and he never speaks, but when he writes,
he never did. You never even knew what his voice sounded like until what? 5
recently.
Years ago?
Yeah, till recently. Now he talks.
5 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, and I guess it was really a shocker, they're in there during oral arguments and Justice Thomas asks a question and everybody just can't breathe for a second and goes,
yeah.
Oh.
But when he writes some really good opinions.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he does. He's up there with the way Scalia used to do it.
Yeah.
You ever read the Heller decision? If you haven't, give yourself a treat and spend some time reading that. Number 12, and this one is coming true, the U.S. will establish a special relationship with Greenland. Strengthened ties with Greenland are possible, but forcing a special relationship is improbable. Although, when Don Jr. flew up there the other day,
apparently
everybody you saw were wearing MAGA hats.
Yeah. Apparently they see what they're not counting on is that Greenland is its own country. It's not.
Well, it's under
Denmark, but they could vote in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
To leave that.
Right.
And the problem is they haven't because they would lose NATO protection.
Not if they become a territory. Not if we buy them, but
but this is the thing. If they have a referendum and decide to separate themselves from Denmark, and then the next day enter into, they wouldn't become a state. They would become a territory, whatever arrangement. Then they would be again, protected. The problem is they cannot just up and leave Denmark, because about a week later they'd have to start learning Russian.
Yeah.
They need somebody. They would need the United States, because Canada's dick isn't big enough to protect them.
I asked it. Liquid, I asked it, and here's what it said. I don't know if I can I heard you, Jade. Don't worry, I heard you. Promise. But I don't know if I can share. No, I can't, but I can do the words. You ready? Here it is. Let's see. What are the odds Unlimited Liquid gets a girlfriend in 2025? I'll just read it and you guys post it there. The odds of Unlimited Liquid getting a girlfriend in 2025 depend on a variety of factors like their personal confidence, social interactions, interests, and goals. If they focus on self-improvement, expanding their social circles, and building meaningful connections, the odds could be quite favorable. If this is a playful or hypothetical query, it might be fun to say the odds are as limitless as their name suggests, Unlimited Liquid. Go for it. So go for it. What's the backstory here? We should work with it. Oh, that's funny. Unlimited options. Exactly. Let's see. Hunter, that's Dick Emery. Did Mandy remember? Yeah. All right. Next one. Did we do all the main ones? No, we didn't. Oh yeah, we never actually got into the Chuck story, did we? Chuck Schumer. Oh yeah, wow, that was just the list of all the stupid things they did. Yeah, we did that. Let's see, what's the next one?
But yeah, I guess as of a couple of days ago, we don't have to deal with Chuck Schumer. We don't got to deal with Turtle
Hakeem
Man.
Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi.
Turtle Man, what's his name?
Yeah. Yeah, the turtle.
Yeah, we don't got to deal with
Mitch
cocaine. We don't got to deal with Cocaine Mitch. We don't got to deal with Pelosi. We don't got to deal with Hakeem Jeffries.
Yep. Here we go. Federal judge blocks Biden administration's Title IX rewrite protecting gender identity. Could you believe this? Can you believe that a president of the United States would actually do something like that? A federal judge, like you're enabling, God love them, you're enabling a mental illness and putting it in Title IX. A federal judge on Thursday blocked the Biden administration's Title IX rewrite that added sexual orientation and gender identity as protected classes under the Civil Rights Law. The rule change sought to revise sex-based discrimination, which critics argued would prevent federally funded schools from barring athletes who identify as transgender from participating in women's sports. As President Joe Biden prepares to leave office, a U.S. district court in Kentucky has struck down the rule nationwide. It's like Joe, really, Barack, is doing everything they can to F with Trump. Like they said that they have one where he found an old obscure law from like the 1940s or something, and it was on oil drilling offshore, and that he did an executive order. And my answer was, okay, so Trump undoes the executive order. I'm like, oh, no, because you got to go through the Constitution to that. No, you write an executive order, a future president can undo that, unless, of course, it's about, banning certain people, certain countries. A travel ban, where a federal judge asshole said you can't do that, or DACA, right? When he did DACA and he rescinded it, and they said you can't do that. And I said, what are you talking about? Crazy shit. Am I right? It's a mad, mad world.
I would be very interested in picking up a history book from 2125.
Yeah. And what they say about this time. How did the people put up with that kind of incompetence? Here's one.
What are future historians going to say about what we've just been through?
I'm telling you. Wow.
And what we're going to be going through in the next 4 to 12 years.
And we're still going through it. Get this. Ready? The Biden admin just extended temporary protection status for 18 months to 600,000 Venezuelans and Salvadorans, 200,000 of them. These are people that were released from the mental asylums and the prisons. Are you kidding me? It says, well, it's Not the Bee. If you're not familiar, Not the Bee is by the same guys as the Babylon Bee, except they do serious stories. They don't do jokes. Well, it's all totally legal, so I guess we can't complain about it, right? Breaking. Around 600,000 Venezuelans and 200,000 Salvadorans can legally remain in the U.S. for another 18 months. Homeland Security says, guess what? That could be changed as well. These people think that, you know what they're doing? Democrats do this all the time. They, for no reason, they come up with some asshole law or policy. And the only reason they do it, they don't want to help anybody. They just want to be able to point at the Republican and go, you see that? They don't want to help you. They're bigots. We wanted to give you free food and free rent and all that at their expense of everybody else. But they don't want that because they hate you. They're racist. They're bigots. They're evil. They don't like you. That's what they do this for. And I'm sure, because now they'll say, you know, Trump will reverse that and say, no, we're going to throw them the hell out. Oh, they don't like people that wanted to just come for a better life. You know, and they found that better life in apartment buildings in Chicago, right? 800,000 refugees from Venezuela.
And Denver. And Aurora.
Yeah, that's right. 800,000 refugees from Venezuela and El Salvador, two nations who have just recently exiled countless gang members, are now being given an 18-month... Guys, Jesus Christ. We have an American president who is telling 800,000 people, gangs, freaking gangs. He's not telling them, he's telling us, I'm allowing 800,000 gang members. Guys, even if 10% of that, or I'm allowing these gang members to stay among your ranks, to be in your communities, to kill more Lake and Rileys. Think about that. How does that help his party? It doesn't. About 600,000 Venezuelans and more than 200,000 Salvadorans already living in the United States can legally remain another 18 months. The Department of Homeland Security said Friday, barely a week before President-elect Donald Trump takes office, with promise of hardline immigration policies. The decision, see, it's all to be able to point. You see that? Hire us at the midterms because these people are evil. They want to send those killers home. We love those killers. Yeah, it's nuts. Their messaging is nuts. The decisions mark the Biden administration's latest in support of temporary protected status, which he has sharply expanded to cover over 1 million people. TPS faces and that was an Obama thing. TPS faces an uncertain future under Trump, who tried to sharply curtail its use during his first term as president. Well, why wouldn't he if he cared about the American people? These are some of the hundreds of thousands that were flown in using the CBP app. Can you believe that? The Biden administration created an app saying, you know, just stand where you are or we'll tell you where to go and we'll pick you up and fly you in. That helped them book flights on the tax. We are freaking paying taxes to bring paupers who produce nothing. A pauper is a poor person who doesn't know how to no longer be poor. They can't figure it out for whatever reason. And that's the majority of these people. They're economic travelers, migrants, whatever. But they're not refugees. They should not be allowed in the country, period. Jesus, look at this. Good thing the migrants coming through the TPS system aren't lying gangbangers, right? Oh, God almighty. I mean, when you think all the evil shit this administration has done to the American people,
and then
unbelievable.
Whatever you do, don't decide to sell one of your guns to your trusted neighbor because the ATF will come,
right,
break down your door with a battering ram, throw flashbangs in there, shoot your dog, hold your children at gunpoint, and stand you out in the snow for an hour in your shorts.
Oh yeah.
You know,
it's crazy. Well, you know what? I hope all that shit stops, and I think it will. I don't think Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Oh, I can't wait for that man to be confirmed. I can't wait. I just can't. Can you wait? I can't.
Kash Patel may be more of a gem even than Trump. I think he's going to get in there.
Well, he's
Kash
working
Patel,
for Trump, so Trump told him what to do, but
yeah,
still.
for sure.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
right.
taking
You're
that
right.
away.
Yeah.
But I'm watching Kash Patel and Tom Homan. I think
Another great guy.
I think that's going to be, what the heck?
Wow, you got a lot of balloons in your house. I didn't do anything. You see my hands right here. I didn't do shit.
My fingers never left my hands.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
The hell was that?
If somebody out there managed to do it,
You had a thumb bubble at the very beginning of the stream. Go back and watch it later.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, last week I got a strike. It was a warning because I didn't have any strikes. They all ran out. But I got a warning last week because of something we said. So that's why last week's video is not there. When they do that, they don't let you delete that part out, right? They make it so that they just remove the whole video. So that's why it's not there from last week, if anybody was looking. But
last I looked, if anybody wants to see it, it's still on BitChute.
Oh, it's on BitChute. It's in a couple places. It's on Odyssey. Yeah, we still have it there. I tried something different tonight. So my people from BitChute, like what happens is, you ready? And I don't know, this is just a little too much information, but Dr. Jade is being hacked because of the bubbles and the balloons. But okay, so with BitChute, you have to put the feed number and all that, right? What's called it's a stream key, and you got to put the ingest URL and all that shit in there. Okay, so I've done all that every week, and because technically, when we're in StreamYard, and when I set it up for a YouTube, all you got to do is click the destination, which is YouTube, and then I don't have to do anything on YouTube. It just automatically picks it up. But it's not doing that with BitChute. So each week I have to get a new stream key, and then I plug it into StreamYard, and it puts it out there. But then it'll put 2 out, because last week it's there, and then the new one, but I don't see it. Like I did not put it in this week, so there may not be one, but I'll never figure that out because I can't see it. It's not there. If you guys from BitChute are there, I know some of you guys are watching. Thank you, but I have no idea where the hell it is. So I guess each week I got to have two versions of the video for it to work, but that's neither here nor there. So, all right. Anyway, so here we go. This is another one. A lot of things that piss me off. Ready? So get this. You know how they murdered the guy murdered the CEO of the insurance company, right? So it has that strange, persistent cheering at a CEO's murder is proof we are now an idiocracy. And we are. Why on earth are we still hearing more expressions of empathy for Luigi Mangione, alleged assassin of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, than for his young children left fatherless? Because these people are nuts. Incredibly silly, because they think that he's sitting there going, yeah, Smithers, let's screw them all, right? That's what they think, right? You think about this. If you got the government out of healthcare, prices would go down. Incredibly silly women are fawning over the 26-year-old alleged cold-blooded killer of the CEO and even getting his face tattooed on their bodies as an everlasting memory of their stupidity. I love this writer. Some gays have idolized him as an icon, too. I did not know that. Even jealous Sean Diddy Combs is complaining that Mangione is getting more attention than he is at a correctional center they're both now imprisoned at. Because Mangione has a killer smile and rock hard abs, he is designated to achieve rock star status among the amoral, mentally challenged populace of most younger Americans, mostly younger Americans. The women, actually. The younger American men, they're saying, are actually conservative. The women, radical, far left, don't even get involved. We have truly been living in an idiocracy for the past 20 years, falling for every single hoax supported by the lamestream media. That's true. Think of all the hoaxes, Jade, that went out there. There's a ton of hoaxes that the media just jumped right into because they had preconceived notions either against Trump or conservatives. From global warming to COVID, each hoax has been and to our YouTube overlords, I'm not saying COVID was a hoax. It was not a hoax. I had COVID. Okay. Each hoax has been a diabolical attack on our freedom to choose how we live as free Americans. With Trump's election, I was hoping we were moving to a new era of common sense. But alas, January 20 can't come soon enough. I keep saying that. Can't come soon enough. While we must continue to call Mangione an alleged killer, the video evidence shows the killer actually completing the assassination of Mr. Thompson leaves little doubt that the resemblance to Mangione is overwhelming and is an additional footage for his escape from New York City. You got to do all that allegedly shit because somebody will sue you if you don't. This apparently means little to Mr. Mangione's new fan base. Now, the New York Post has aired a video documentary called Luigi Mangione, Monster or Martyr? Monster. In what universe could we even consider this privileged member of an elite upper class a martyr? A martyr to what? So he had an excruciating back pain, but he certainly had enough money to get help. As far as we have learned, he wasn't turned down by the insurance company the victim headed. Nor is any CEO actually responsible for those transactions. The real villain behind the health crisis is Obamacare. It's the government. There is one striking difference between Democrats and Republicans, and that is Democrats do not know anything about running a business. Healthcare is definitely, why does he have I'm there? Healthcare is definitely not health insurance, which is a business, not a charity. And when the Democrats rammed through passage of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act of 2010, chaos followed. Yeah, the premiums just went through the roof. The whole thing was a scam too. The architect of it literally said out loud on video that they were charging young people for things that they would never use because they were young and healthy, just so that they could be able to have that money to give the treatments to elderly people. So it was a Ponzi scheme. It was a scam from the beginning. Unless one is a news junkie, one may not have paid any attention to what was happening in Nancy Pelosi's realm as House leader during Barack Obama's presidency. In 2010, Democrats who held the majority in both chambers of Congress at the time ultimately passed the ACA without Republican votes. Not a single Republican voted for it. This was partly due to deep ideological differences over healthcare policy. Most of the GOP amendments were ignored, and that's what it is. We want bipartisanship. Well, you're in charge now. Go fuck yourself. I mean, that's the way they are on the left. Most of the GOP amendments were ignored, and top Democrats such as Senate leaders Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer did not try to get bipartisan cooperation. They didn't need it, so they didn't want it. The Democrats told so many lies about Obamacare that in a normal scenario, there would be public outrage. Unfortunately, the mainstream media became the lamestream media and managed to discredit the objections and those who questioned the ACA. Obama said, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. In most cases, that was only true if your doctor was in an ACA-approved plan. He didn't tell you the opposite side of that. He never did. The media dismissed the claim that there would be death panels, but there were. But a provision of the act included end-of-life counseling. That is a death panel. Medicare reimbursed I remember when Sarah Palin was talking about that. She tried to explain it. They called her a nut. Medicare reimbursed doctors for discussing advanced care planning with patients. Obamacare made it mandatory for insurance companies to cover past illnesses and injuries. What business could survive that edict? Think about this. What they're saying, and you know this, Dr. J. Think about this. They're saying, okay, so now somebody has a disease that'll cost the company $1 million a year, and you have to give them a policy where you're going to make about $3,000 a year off their premium. Think about that. Well, there's a winning plan, right? Like, what kind of other business would do that? Right? No sane business. Progressive Democrats want what's that?
Yeah, you see, insurance is a very funny business because insurance is based on pooled risk.
Yep.
And
yep.
That means a lot of people pay in more than they get out.
Right.
And a bunch of people get out more than they pay in.
Right.
And that's just how it is.
Oh, I know. But when you're telling a company, like how else do we do this? I don't know of any other industry. If you tell an industry, okay, so you have people that want to buy something for a car. They want to buy a car from you, and they're going to pay X amount of dollars for the car. All right, you're a car dealership. But then you're going to have these other people that they want to buy the most expensive car there, but they only have the money for the cheapest car in the lot, and you must provide that for them. That's what they're telling insurance companies. People go, insurance companies suck. All insurance companies suck.
But insurance, like I said, cars are a good example because, how long do you pay your insurance premiums on your car before you actually need to use it, before you're in an accident? And then once you're in an accident, your premiums go up. And over the next 5 years, they recoup most of what they spent on you for the accident.
Exactly.
And then if you have another accident, they drop you.
Right.
So
I had that happen. I sued him and I won. Then I called the next day and I said, guess what? Go fuck yourself. I'm going with another.
So insurance is a funny thing. I'll say one thing with health insurance.
Yeah, because I got to move on. I got to read the rest of this.
There is no reason that United Healthcare or Blue Cross or anybody else should be freely traded on the stock market. What the frick is that?
Yeah, I know.
What the frick? That changes the whole basis.
Changes everything, yeah.
Because the basis of
you got to make your stockholders happy.
Exactly. The base of your business now is to make money for your investors.
Right.
But the base of an insurance business should be a health insurance business. It should be that you reinvest what you take in your
programs you create,
in your patients, in that, okay, you pay your CEO and whatever, and then whatever you've got left is spent on patient care.
Right. Let me finish this. Where am I? Oh, there it is. Progressive Democrats want the government to be in complete charge of our lives, so they have always pushed the single-payer healthcare programs. That's the truth. When you control, there's several that you control: the water, you control the food, you control the healthcare. You control healthcare. You can control. If you're a communist, you can control everything else. We don't think that you should be eating that kind of food. Therefore, you did, and we're not going to pay for your heart troubles that you have. We're not going to do that. We have a little committee over here in the Congress, and they did a study, and we believe that the Pinto is the safest car in America. That's because that's what they told us, and we have to believe them because they're honest. They're politicians. And so we think that you should buy a Pinto, and if you don't, we're not going to cover you with the government insurance. It's not going to happen. They can control your ass. I'm a senior on Medicare who refused to sign up for the Medicare Advantage or supplemental programs. I pay what Medicare will not, and when the bill is too high, I make payment arrangements with the physicians. That's the old school way. It is really sad to read the tales of those Americans who believe that they understand what motivated this murder. Personally, I am wondering the same thing and coming up with an alternate scenario. The killer is the killer is talking on his cell phone immediately after the kill. Who is he talking to? How did he know the exact moment that Mr. Thompson would be walking down that street? How did he know which hotel he would be staying at? Has the FBI delved into Mancione's cell records or online transactions? Or are they being the same incompetent Justice Department tool since 2016? Well, we know that the FBI can't find the pipe bomber, so they don't have that kind of tools, right? The mainstream media sources no longer have effective investigative reporters. That's true. They hire left-wing activists who can write. They employ mouthpieces. There we go. They employ mouthpieces for the progressive agenda of the Democratic Party, but there are certain signs that change the way that change may be on the way. It might be because right now X is the premier social media site for independent journalists, and Elon did it that way on purpose. So now you think about it. He came out with the community notes so you can trash a lying lefty, legacy media person
in real time
with facts. Right? Not sure if he's serious or if he has a new agenda. his new agenda has filtered down to the. I'm sorry, I missed this. CNN management is cleaning house of its most liberal screeds. Jeff Bezos, owner of the Washington Post, has ordered the hiring of conservative voices and an overhaul of the paper's progressive pundits. He also fired. It was a guy who was there for 28 years. He was the political editor. All right. So he says, not sure if he's serious or if his agenda has filtered down to his underlings who nixed my latest MAGA essay. Oh, well, I'm not sure if I'd be happy surrendering to that wing of the media. One final note about this murder and the victim. Immediately after Mr. Thompson's death, I read scurrilous reports of how his company was involved with lawsuits and other negative news that seemed to lend credence to motives about the assassination. When was the last time the media paid any negative attention to a victim's past life that would explain why and where they met their demise? Was George Floyd an innocent victim of police brutality? Or a man arrested for criminal activity? In addition to fentanyl and methamphetamine, the toxicology report from the autopsy showed that Floyd had cannabinoids in his system when he died. He also had heart disease and was probably a dead man walking during his arrest. I personally think he had the fentanyl in a little bag or whatever, and he swallowed it because he saw in that side mirror that the cops were coming for him because he just passed off a phony 20. I think he swallowed it and want to go to prison again. And then he died.
He died of an overdose. The autopsy proved it.
Yeah. Michael Brown was caught. Remember him? Michael Brown was caught on video assaulting and robbing a store owner. He died reaching for the policeman's gun, yet fake eyewitnesses reported he had his hands. Remember? Hands up, don't shoot. You had every idiot Democrat in the House that would go up to speak at the podium on whatever issue. Didn't matter. Hands up, don't shoot. And he'd stand there and look around. Everybody's like, oh, God almighty, just get on with it. Because because the media lied. They lied about it. NBA supporter or superstar LeBron James, another moron, walked into the arena with his hands up to show solidarity with the lies spewed by the press. I rest my case, Brian Thompson. Rest in peace. Yeah, that was a good piece. Oy vey. That's Jewish for oy vey, guys.
Did you see the interview with LeBron James when he said something to the effect of, they're messing with the wrong guy because I'm a very educated man?
Yeah, that was kind of funny, wasn't it?
That was knee-slapping funny.
That was pretty funny. I thought so, too. Let's see. The strange, persistent cheering. Yeah, we just did that. This guy.
And you know one problem with staying on straight Medicare.
What's that?
If you go on Medicare without a supplement,
right,
there's a lot of medical services that just will not accept that insurance. If you do not have a supplement, they won't make you an appointment at that office. What are you looking for, Rich?
No, I was IMing Colin. He sent me something. So he was on last week. Here we go. I'm going to do this one. This is all the lawsuits against Trump. Ready? Lawsuits targeting President-elect Trump. An overview of the status of the main lawsuits that have been lodged against the president-elect in recent years. Look at this. Lawsuits against Trump. Let's see if we can increase it. It says the lawsuits against Trump, an overview of the. So we have the New York business records case that we just talked about because he was just sentenced on that. The Georgia election case, which has fallen apart because, and they're laying it out that Fani had had that relationship with Nathan Wade, right? Where I mean, guys, she took county money and spent it, paying him an exorbitant amount because he was spending money on her, and then going on cruises with that money. I mean, that, and she unconstitutionally, in Georgia's constitution, she unconstitutionally grabbed that case. You're not supposed to do it. There's a board that hands the cases out, and she said, no, the rest of the DAs and all these other counties, they're on Trump's side. It doesn't matter if you think that or not. The Florida classified documents case, remember that, where Donald Trump was the president, had the right to have the documents, was working with NARA, National Archives and Records Administration. They didn't have a problem until until Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer contacted them and said, you have a problem now. Literally. So an executive branch administration, an agency under the executive branch, felt threatened by members of a completely different branch of government. Well, there you go. So hold on. So Joe Biden had multiple places where he had documents when he wasn't allowed to have them, because he had them as a senator and he had them as a vice president, not a president. And yet they said, the special counsel, said, well, you know, he would look sympathetic to a jury because his memory has lapses. So we're just not going to charge him. Okay. Then you shouldn't have charged Trump either, because Trump did nothing wrong. And plus, I've shown it many times. Trump wrote a presidential memorandum the day before he left office, when he was still president. For those of you that call yourselves progressives, he was still president on January 19th, 2021. And he wrote the memo that's in the National Archives that said that he declassified all that. Yet Jack Smith still wants to release a report on him. Election interference case in Washington, that's another joke. I mean, if you're president of the United States and you think an election was stolen, whether it was for you or not, you have the right to fight for election integrity, do you not? You have a First Amendment right as well. I don't care if the shit was polarizing or not. What he said, he had a right to say it. Political speech, according to the Supreme Court, is covered. And the New York civil fraud case. Jesus. Letitia James. God, look at all these things, man. And they're all falling apart. And they will fall apart upon appeal. That's what lawfare does. It's a temporary thing. They know that they're going to lose eventually, but they don't care because they have a political agenda in mind. That's why they're doing it.
The prosecution is the punishment.
Yeah, the process is the punishment. It really is. It's crazy.
Because they don't care. Guess whose money they're spending to do their end?
Exactly. Meanwhile, this is how good it's going to be, because even now, it's called the Trump effect, people. The U.S. economy added 256,000 jobs in December. Unemployment rate fell. Because of who? Because of this man. Employers in the United States added 256,000 workers to their payrolls in November. The Department of Labor said, and Biden's going, Bidenomics is working, I told you. And the unemployment rate declined to 4.1%. He's not even in office yet, and he lowered the unemployment rate. Economists had been expecting 153,000 jobs and an unemployment rate unchanged at 4.2%. The prior month's jobs figure was revised down to 212 from 227. They had to revise every single one, this administration.
They always do.
Go ahead.
They always do. They have for 4 years.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? They got caught lying, as a matter of fact. They got caught lying about the numbers as well. Obama did the same thing, but he was a little more smarter about it. He went with the U6. He didn't tell anybody he was saying the U6. They thought it was the U2. Anybody that's not familiar with that, the U6 is the unemployment of people that are on that with other regular unemployed, but they include people who lost their job and have not found another job for 2 years. So they're either lazy, they're going to school, or they just don't want to work, or they really can't find a job. So they get knocked off the unemployment list, right? So the number's smaller because you have less people that are being counted as unemployed. Well, that's how they do it.
Yeah,
and that's what Obama did before his reelection.
Because they're chronically unemployed.
Yes. And so they say, oh, we're just not even going to count them anymore. Right. So it made it look like his economy was better. He did that because the word went out right before 2012 election that no president in American history ever got reelected with 8% or higher unemployment. He had like 8.2. And then magically 3 months before the election, it went down to 7.3 or 7.5 or something like that, because they used the U6 instead. They got rid of all those people. That's like there was a joke one time where they said, well, Arkansas went from 50th to 49th place in the schools. Another guy said, I think they just killed all the dumb kids. True. Probably. Knowing them. Anyway. Most of the job creation came from the private sector, which added 223,000 workers. Economists had forecast just 130,000 private sector jobs. The figures are seasonally adjusted. Retail trade added 43,000 jobs. So that's retail. I want to know manufacturing when Trump gets in. That's what I want to hear. But all right, so we know the story. Trump effect is saying America's going to be great again. Yeah, all the dumb kids went to work for the government. There you go. That's exactly correct. Let's see. We got another one. Why they became so devastating. Here we go. Gateway Pundit. Let's bring this up. Here we go. Ben Bergquam reports on Biden's illegals continuing. They're still pouring into California through the CBP app. Unbelievable. There you go. Yeah, we're going to kill you. As wildfires rage on in Los Angeles, illegal aliens are still flooding the United States and being housed in Southern California, pending transportation to a city near you. That's the thing. Did you ever think, Jade, that every city in America would become a border city? It's crazy. It's flipping crazy.
It's not even reasonable to have to think that far ahead.
I know. But it's crazy, is it not? Crazy.
I mean, used to be, there's been an evolution. Used to be, there were a few people that snuck across the border, and we had some, rather rude names for them. and then it almost became a meme of the time, where, somebody, they would sneak in and they get deported. They'd be back by dinner time.
Oh yeah.
Or they'd be back by tomorrow lunch.
And you know what? The ones that are murdering all these young people, like Lake and Rilo, they were deported multiple times. They just keep coming back. One time Newt Gingrich made a proposal, and when he was speaker, he said, "I would like to see that anybody that brings drugs across our border, instant death penalty. Like, you're not going to wait 9 years on death row. You're going to go through your appeals. They're going to be right away. You're going to have your appeals within months instead of years, and it's a death penalty." Well, that would stop a lot, not all, but a lot of the drugs coming over.
I can do you one better than that. I think that the place, this country would be a lot better if justice was dispensed at the time of the crime.
Yeah, they used to do that.
So if you break into this house,
the Uplift Society did that.
You break into a house or you try and carjack somebody and, save the price of a trial, I guess.
What do you say? I love the era of music was racist because it was normal. It was culture. He's actually right, though. But here we go. So the Gateway Pundit has reported extensively on the fires, which have killed at least 5. I think it's up to 10 now. And the state's mismanagement of the crisis. Due to Governor Gavin Newsom and L.A. Mayor Karen Bass's failed leadership and radical left policies, which cut $17.6 million from the fire department's budget. Can you imagine that? A few months ago, and reduced the city's water supply available in fire hydrants because they're rerouting the water out to the Pacific Ocean. Fire trucks are now using residential hoses to fill up their water tanks after hydrants run dry. This is crazy, people, and it doesn't help that the Los Angeles fire chief is a DEI lesbian who is more concerned about hiring more women and gays than ensuring public safety. Additionally, Californians face the threat of criminals looting their evacuated homes. Yeah, there was one where I saw a woman saw her Ring doorbell, and I think it was Meg Kelly was talking about it. She said that the woman was looking at her Ring doorbell and seeing people going into her home to loot. Imagine you had to evacuate because the city told you got to get out. You could die. And you got these scumbags going in and stealing everything out of your house, and you're watching it. Unreal. Nearly 180,000 have been forced out of their homes. as at least 5 fires burned, destroying tens of thousands of acres. Many have lost their homes altogether. I saw that Mel Gibson, his home burned down to the ground. Then I heard Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn, whatever her name is, Caitlyn Jenner, say it was, I think, called Wilcow. I think it was Wilcow. It was either that or Hannity. I forget. But it was either that or Hannity. I don't know which one. I forget. But he was saying, she was saying, whatever, that lives at the top, like gets those Santa Ana winds that hit, but is at the top of a mountain, and the house is steel except for window frames and doors. Said, my house is not going to burn down, but he has a fire hose, literal fire hose, and her own water. So she's like, I'm not worried about it. She goes, but I'm looking down the mountain and I see all these homes burning. She goes, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. But that's gotta suck for a lot of people that these things, and it's like every year you see these fires. Meanwhile, illegal aliens are treated like guests, receiving food, water, clothing, shelter, and transportation at the expense of us, the taxpayer. Berkman spoke to a group of illegals in San Diego, California, who entered the country using the CBP app. And he says they are continuing to come in nonstop. Some told him that they were traveling to New York, Denver, California, and Chicago. Thank God they never say Philly, because then they filter up to where I am. A group from Venezuela claimed not to be Trinidad gang members, but appeared to be lying. Gosh, gang members would lie? Jade, have you ever heard such a thing? Berkman further exposed the Ramada Inn hotel facility, where illegals are being hidden and from where they are being transported across the county or the country. Catholic Charities, can you believe this, and Hebrew Family Services, the Jews, are running these facilities for our Jew haters. The facilities as homeless Americans, many of whom are veterans, are sleeping in tents under just about every overpass in San Diego. Unreal. He points out that every illegal alien housing facility formerly used as a hotel has menacing fences with tarps and banners so you can't see in. What is happening to our country? These illegals are using Biden's CBP app, which became a primary vehicle for mass illegal immigration for so-called asylum seekers. They're all, I seek asylum. Is there a war going on? Yes. Where's the war? Don't know. Because you don't have one. Under by Mexico's government has even been busing migrants to the border. They're doing worse than that. They were flying down to Central and South America saying, come on, get in. And they're flying their asses back. Then, because the lines were too long on the southern border, they were taking a lot of them, flying them up to Canada and bringing them in through the north. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, but apparently the Mexican president has gotten on board now.
Yeah, well, because she said, hey, how about we block everything coming down there? We don't give a shit. We don't need you like you need us. Quote, we talk about priorities, which has to happen first. What has to happen first? Defund the NGOs, defund the United Nations, find out how many of these organizations and people are directly working with the cartels, like Gavin Newsom watching as California burns down. He's right about that. There's a lot of governments that you wouldn't think that want to take down the United States. And so they were these NGOs. Who do you think's funding them? The United Nations. Who funds the United Nations? All these governments. Most of the United States, though.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, they hate us because they hate us is right.
No, they hate us because they ain't us.
I know.
But you reading all that stuff, I'm sorry, I get this emotional reaction that makes me feel that the whole situation could be handled by a 9.0 earthquake in the San Andreas Fault.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to our Californian friends, but I tell you, I get to thinking that.
Yeah. Back to the fires. We're staying on fire. Hulking DEI firefighter has insane message for any man she has to carry out of a fire. Can you believe it? What on earth is going on in Los Angeles these days? No, we're not talking about the homeless crisis, drug epidemic, skyrocketing crime, insane cost of living, or the swarm of pervert roaming the streets. This time, we're zeroed in on the raging fires tearing through the city and the lackluster DEI fire department, along with state and city leadership clowning their way through this devastating nightmare. I love Revolver. While fire literally consumes the city, it's becoming painfully clear that poor fire and city management combined with DEI leadership infected the LAFD has created this disaster, from a DEI gay fire chief seemingly more focused on her personal escapades than building a competent department to a mayor and governor who can't even keep water in the hydrants. It's been a colossal parade of progressive failures. Let's see, what's this? Here we go.
I'd call it a cluster fumble myself.
I would call it something worse, but I won't say that right now.
What, is this a family show all of a sudden?
Here you go. Watch this. Who wins, guys?
What's going on?
I don't even know what she's talking about. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable. There it is. Just go.
Yeah, makes me wonder. I'll tell you, 9.0 quake in the San Andreas Fault.
Oh, well, here you go. The same woman. Ready? The same woman, the mayor. Watch this. She's asked a question by a reporter and doesn't respond.
Oh, I saw this.
Watch
Do you
this,
owe
guys.
citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor?
Look at this.
Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
Look at her.
I don't blame her for not answering.
Absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today.
See, at first I thought, like, there's this guy out there that does videos. I don't know if he's Hispanic or Arab. I don't know. I don't care. I forget his name, but he does these videos where he takes real video clips and he embeds himself into it. And it's hilarious, but he does it because he has a viewpoint, a conservative viewpoint to get through. And that's what I thought. This guy had video of her just standing there looking at devastation and all that. And he just threw in the words. No, I heard it was real. This is real.
Yeah, but you'll also notice that it wasn't one of our fine legacy media in the United States. Look at it's Sky News.
Sky News, right. Now watch this. This goes on.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, this is Sky News Australia.
Yeah.
This is not one of our media in the United States.
Right. And if it wasn't Sky, it would be Rebel up in Canada. But all right, now watch this. This goes on. You have no idea. Watch this.
No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
That's what she did. She was standing there waiting for the signal to go out. You're a public official. You have to answer questions to the press.
Actually, you don't.
Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
Look at him. He ain't giving up.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
I mean,
David, as you say, she wasn't very keen to answer any of your questions there. And fire chiefs are also admitting that they just don't have enough personnel to take out the fires.
defund the
they're
fire
fighting all
department.
sorts of challenges. They're talking about a water shortage. There are reports of fire hydrant failures. They've been unable to use firefighting aircraft.
Guys, for a state like California to have no water in their fire hydrants, you have to work hard at that. Am I right? You have to work really hard at being that incompetent in managing your water. Think about that.
For much of the day due to the smoke that is billowing ominously from the hills where the wildfires are raging. And I suppose despite that political storm, this is, of course, at its heart, a human story, because we've now 80,000 people evacuated. Tens of thousands of others are on standby to be evacuated. 2 lives have been lost in the Eaton fire, which is what's causing the consequence behind us. The city's iconic landscape almost shrouded completely by the smoke. And they're really just taking it one step at a time, hoping at some stage the wind's going to change direction or to die down, and that they're going to be able to get this fire under control.
Unreal. Yeah, I had heard a rumor that Trump wants to completely change the press pool, where he wants, like, normally you have, like, there's seats for ABC, the AP, Reuters, CBS, all the legacies, and they're up front. And then everybody else filters behind them, right? That's the way it's always been. He wants to put the independent journalists and podcasters up front and let everybody else in the back. And they're like, oh, how dare you? Well, you guys suck. You guys lie every report that you put out there. So we want guys that are, like, hungry for real news.
Yeah, put people like Joe Rogan in the front row.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I want guys that, if I'm being serious too, I want guys that if Trump fucks up, I want them to report it. Trump always said, look, if I do something wrong and they report it, that's fine. They're doing their job, but don't make things up about me, which is what they always do. But I that's the kind of, if either party fucks up and it harms people, I want to hear about it. You know, I want to hear about it. So, what are you going to do? So here's more fire story. Here's one more. The stupidity is it's shocking. Ready? LA already shipped firefighting equipment to Ukraine, and now Biden is planning another handout as California burns. Biden just said, I think the rule was like, it was like 40% is for catastrophes like this is paid to a state from the feds. And Newsom asked him, can you up it to 70%? He said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do 100%. So you and I, everybody watching this, if you're an American, you're paying to put these fires out because they gave equipment and money to Ukraine. Well, they didn't give money, but they gave their firefighting equipment, and they fucked up their land management, and they fucked up their water management. So now we got to pay for all this. It's just unreal. Democrats have been more focused on slashing the fire department budget and sending equipment and money to Ukraine than saving Americans. Truth. The Los Angeles County Fire Department shipped equipment to Ukraine in 2022, and now the Biden administration is working overtime to send the country millions more handouts as wildfires devastate California. He's trying to send as much money to Ukraine as possible before Trump gets in. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, but at least they cut the number of white males in the fire department.
I know, because they were a disgrace, were they not? Perhaps ABC7 put it best in 2022 when it declared that all over Southern California, people are finding ways to keep Ukraine front and center. And it's no different for the Los Angeles County Fire Department. The fire department donated its own surplus supplies to help a foreign regime and run by a dictator, and is now caught flat-footed without the capacity to respond to the Pacific Palisades wildfire, which continues to cause deaths and untold damage to thousands of acres of land, including countless homes. I heard it's so bad illegals are leaving. Far-left Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, the silent woman, who is missing in action because she is busy attending an event in yet another foreign country, Ghana, also slashed the Los Angeles Fire Department's budget by $17.6 million for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Her initial proposal was $23 million. / nothing. The city has faced firefighter shortages for several years, and the number of federal firefighters from the U.S. Forest Service has also atrophied considerably since 2020. USFS also ended certain forest management projects like prescribed burns in California after President Joe Biden opposed a bill to help contain fires, claiming it would have undermined wildlife and environmental protections. So what Democrats are telling you is we care more about animals and plants than we do human beings, you and your children. This is what they're telling you. He opposed a bill to help contain fires, claiming it would have undermined wildlife. What about undermining human beings? Aren't wildlife and environmental protections, they didn't vote these people into office. Human beings did. And the problem is Democrats don't give a shit. Well, they never did give a shit about working class and middle class. Just look at the policies. All right. In a reactionary move that displays California's and the federal government's lack of preparedness to battle wildfires, the Federal Emergency FEMA has cut a deal with California to reimburse the state for having to hire more firefighters. Why? Why do we have to pay for that? Providing compensation for up to 75% of eligible firefighting costs for things like equipment, supplies, and mobilization efforts. A state is supposed to take care of themselves. This FEMA thing, unconstitutional.
Yeah, but what do you expect? They had to use all their money to house the illegal Guatemalans.
Well, there you go. Yeah, the unregistered Democrats.
You bigot.
The 11 to 20 million unregistered Democrats. I always say that if it was known that illegal aliens from south of the border always overwhelmingly voted for Republicans, the Democrats would be catapulting them over the Rio Grande 24/7. We know that.
We know that. And last I heard, it was at least, because I read something fairly recently, I can't remember where, it's at least 20 million. And
yeah,
if you stretch things, you could
that's just the 4 years.
You could actually imagine it up to 30 million in the country.
Well, I think it's even more than that, because since, what was it, 1996, they kept saying 11 million. They say 11 million all the time. You guys always hear me say it. They think that you're stupid, that you believe that for every illegal that comes in, there's an equal one that leaves. So that's the only way it stays at 11 million.
We had 11 million.
I think it's up to 50.
We had 11 million. Another million came in this year. That means we have 11 million.
Right. Exactly. See, that's that new math. That's a new math. We have 11 million. We had 7 million that came in over the last 10 years. So it's at what? It's at 11 million. We had 1 million come in this year and 2 million the year before. So it's 11 million. That's my Catholic school math.
There you go.
Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snowmelt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. Trump posted on social media he wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now, they say Trump is being rough. No, he's 100% accurate. They didn't care about the people of California. People got to get that in their heads. When shit like this happens on a Democrat's watch or a Republican's watch for that matter, they don't care about the people that put them in office. They don't care about their residents. They don't care. They hate you. They all hate you. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. This is Trump. He is the blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants, not firefighting planes, a true disaster. Trump frequently criticized Newsom's mismanagement of wildfires while he was president, saying in 2018, here we go, here's what I said earlier, there is no reason for these massive, deadly, and costly forest fires in California, except that forest management is so poor. And the lib nuts went crazy. Oh, he doesn't know the complications and the intricacies of the nuances of forestry management. Yeah, no, he's pretty smart. And he said, you guys fucking mismanage the forest. You don't do burns. You don't do raking. And guess what? Fires happen. Billions of dollars are given each year with so many lives lost, all because of gross mismanagement of the forest. Remedy now or no more Fed payments. Nice. And they'll say, oh, we'll take you to court for that. I would bring burn victims into the court. Let the judge see it. Coupled with the Biden administration's last-ditch effort to send Ukraine even more money on his way out of office, it's just a disgrace. The treason-level incompetence displayed by Democrats at local and federal levels shows they care more about the lives and livelihoods of a group of people across the planet than they do about Americans. This is why they hate America First. They hate the movement. They hate it.
They don't care about Ukraine.
They're globally. I know. Well, that's the piggyback. That's their ATM. But they don't give a shit about their own constituents.
No,
and you would think that now, Bobbity, we know how he votes, but you would think that these morons in California would say, I've been on this planet 50, 60 years. I vote Democrat all the time because I know that this time they're going to come through. That's fucking stupid. You can't call it oppression if you keep voting for it, and you keep voting for it. Democrat fealty to Ukraine has continued apace. And as Biden prepares to leave office, his focus remains to give the country as much money as possible, as opposed to saving Americans in California. Look, I don't like California, but they're human beings, and they deserve to not have their whole fucking lives burned down in front of them. I mean, Jesus Christ, just once, vote Republican, see what happens. This week, Defense Department officials were preparing another massive giveaway of cash. Why was the Defense Department involved in it? To Ukraine, to be announced Thursday, but were seemingly dejected that they would not be able to send all $4 billion left in the Ukraine coffers to the country before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Because you see, paperwork is a bitch. Quote, there will be more than a couple of $1 billion remaining in PDA assistance for future after you. Oh, Jade, screw you. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, but you know what? You know, Rich, you know what Ukraine has always been known for.
Right, it's the most corrupt. It's the most corrupt non-country that ever existed.
Yeah. I mean, their existence depends on money laundering. That's what they do. That's their national industry.
Hold on. Look what Bobbity said. He's right. California leftists laughing at Trump over forest management is the same as German delegates laughing at Trump about oil pipelines and energy. Do you remember that? He was at the UN and he was warning the German delegation there.
Don't depend on Russian.
Don't depend on Russian oil because he will use it against you. And they're sitting there laughing at him. Look what happened.
Now they're starting to fire up coal furnaces.
Yep. And then we have fucked sea nuts.
What the hell is that?
Car to go to the beach. It's not working. Absolute nothing. May as well be a DEI car. Not happy, Jan. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, I've heard it. I mean, who knows what's in the man's head? But I've heard it said that Putin's main motivation for going into Ukraine because he wanted a piece of the action.
Oh yeah. Oh
he wanted to wet his beak. That's
what happened was Biden saw there was a whistleblower that gave it away. Bongino read it off. Biden saw that everyone else in the Democratic Party was making a lot of bank in Ukraine, and he wanted him. And he's the one that got Obama to make him the point man for corruption. That's like putting the weasel in charge of the hen house. Do me a favor, guys. If you haven't already, hit that like button before we split tonight. It helps us. I don't know how, but with the algorithm. So
no, but Putin knew this too. And Putin wanted a piece of the pie. Putin wanted to wet his beak. He wanted some of this. And that's, I've heard, one of the big reasons that he wanted to go in there, and that's the big reason that the U.S. is protecting it, because all of these people are making bank on that. So,
well, no, what I had heard and read, and what I heard him say when Tucker interviewed him, you had to listen to the translator, obviously, but he did say, he gave a history, very good history of Ukraine. It was always Russian territory, and it was 3 groups, Russia and 2 others, can't remember. But he went on to say, look, he said that the Nazis, the literal Nazis, right, when they left Nazi Germany, not the ones that went to the Nuremberg trials, but the rest of them, that they infiltrated their families. They moved to other countries in Europe. They infiltrated their families into government in these other countries, which is why you had European socialism for a long time, because the Nazis were socialists. I mean, your true socialists over here, well, that's not true. They were right-wing fascists. No, they were left-wingers. The way they ruled, the way that they wrote their pamphlets, the way that they governed, everything. They were left-wingers. And the thing was that Putin said that they infiltrated with socialism, like German socialism, right? Nazi socialism, in all these countries to whatever varying degrees. And he said the only country that has not fallen for that is Russia. And he said, and if you think about it, he said NATO has been moving in and encroaching on our country. And he goes, we don't want to take over anybody. He said, but we don't want Ukraine, we don't want them joining NATO, because then we have nukes on our border. I think it's a pretty rational argument. We don't want nukes on our border, which will be there if they join NATO, which is why and that's why the credible story of 18 months ago or 19 months ago, where he made the offer to Ukraine, sign an official government document promising Ukraine will never join NATO and we'll pull our troops out within 48 hours. And they went to do it, but the Biden administration interfered. They had Antony Blinken call the little dictator over there, Zelensky, and say, well, you have to say that Putin has to step down in order to sign this agreement. Knowing, I mean, can you imagine Zelensky? I could end this war now, but these assholes that have been funding us for their own benefit, that they want me to say Putin has to step down, knowing he's never going to step down. That really happened, guys. Try to find that on the news today. They scraped it. But that really happened. They could have ended it. Putin wanted to end it. Just don't join NATO. That was his main point. Don't join NATO, because I don't want nukes on my border. And now they're saying, oh, they're going to join NATO. Okay. So, I mean, you know, Putin's not a good guy, but in this one, I think he was right. I mean, he's done terrible things. He was KGB colonel. I mean, of course he did terrible things, but on this, he's right. I mean, does he have a right to say, I don't want nukes on my border when you guys are encroaching on me? I don't want it. Plus, why do we need NATO anymore anyway? NATO was put in there to protect primarily Germany from the Soviets and any of the other countries around Germany. And now Germany, that's why Trump said, you know, NATO was there to protect you, and now you're going to go with their oil and gas? Like, then why do we need NATO? We don't.
I've thought I've thought the U.S. should drop out of NATO since I was in the military myself.
But you know why they don't? Why we don't? Because then what happens when NATO turns on us? We're paying all the bills, as a matter of fact. Trump was the one that got them to, what, like $800 billion he got them to pay?
They try and turn on us, and we tell them to go fuck himself.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, for years, the United States was arrogant enough, run by Democrats, to say to these countries, hey, look, we don't like how you're behaving. They go, fuck you. They go, okay, you want billions of dollars? Oh, yeah. Okay, then do what we tell you. Okay. And so for years, they did what we told them to, and then they didn't. And we said, you know, we don't like the way that's what you're doing. Stop it. And they didn't stop it. And all of a sudden, the 7th Fleet shows up off their shores. And, you know, we really meant it when we said we didn't like what you're doing. So they thought their answer was to pay everybody money to get them to behave the way that we want them to. It doesn't always work. But that's why we have all this foreign aid. I don't think we should give foreign aid to any country the way we do. I mean, if there's a hurricane or, you know, tornado, whatever, you know, natural disaster, sure, give them money, right? But Jesus Christ, do you know how much money we give away? I don't think any country should get foreign aid that way. But
I mean, if they've got some natural disaster, park a hospital ship off the coast.
Yeah,
help them out.
Exactly right. But see, we're giving them that money so that they stay under our tutelage, so that they do what we tell them to do, so that they act as American as they can.
Yeah, and the money, see, that's the thing. The money never does what you think it's going to do. It always gets siphoned off. It's like when we try to help the people of even countries that are our enemies, we send them, pallets of MREs. Well, what do? They get seized by the military, they get sold, and they use them to buy the money to buy.
Well, they said that to Reagan when the money went over there to Ethiopia, and they said, well, you're sending millions of dollars in food over to Ethiopia, but their communist army takes 90% of it.
Yeah,
and his answer was, well, at least they get the 10%. Like, in other words, what the fuck do you want me? You want me to declare war on them? That's what Trump said one time. When the lib nuts bitched when he met with Putin that time in Helsinki, and because Donald Trump didn't tackle him to the ground and start pummeling his face, he literally stood there in front of all these reporters and he goes, wait a minute. What did you want? You wanted me to declare war on him because you say he killed a reporter who's not an American citizen? And they were like, oh my God, because he worked for the Washington Post, right? That guy, forget his name, Kashigian, I think his name was. And he worked for the Washington Post, but he was not an American citizen. So what the fuck? Well, he goes, you want me to go to war with Russia because you believe they assassinated or Saudi Arabia and all that? You think that they were all involved, and so we should go to war with them over a guy that wasn't an American citizen? And they all lost their minds because he spoke truth. He's like, you guys are nuts if you think that we should go to war over something like that. I remember that. He made them look like fools, which is why they hate him. But it was pretty easy, to make them look like fools. Yeah, kickbacks.
Oh.
Aggressive chemo. Yeah, we got 5 minutes.
Another one? You got another
I got
one
more. Yeah, we could do one more.
Yeah, my rear end is starting to...
All right, it's a little WTMI. World's richest man. Word facility.
No, if I would have finished the sentence, then you could have stuck your fingers in your ears and started humming.
Yeah, there you go.
I just alluded to the fact that this seat is not the most comfortable, and I got a timer. Okay, I got a 3 hour.
Really?
I got a 3 hour fucking timer here.
Whoa, guys! Jade said the F-bomb. Whoa. Let's issue a coin. Ready? Here's one. Go. This is.
You've heard it before. I've dropped it before.
Here you go. World's richest man, Elon, seen at weird facility in Memphis. See what he's planning. Ready? He built the world's fastest car. He sends starships to space faster and cheaper than NASA. But what the world's richest man is planning at a remote facility in Memphis may be his greatest achievement to date. Recently, Earth's most powerful billionaire revealed a giant AI supercomputer 10 times more powerful than the technology used to create ChatGPT. Yeah, but Google just came out with that real big one, 100 qubits, 104 qubits. They say anything over 54 is really good. Some are even calling it a ChatGPT killer. The crazy part, he has plans to double its power in a matter of weeks and double it again by this summer. Now, they're saying when you're up to that level, you can literally detect other universes. I don't believe that, but that's what they're saying. That the speed of things that go around, like you heard about the neutron and you heard about it all. But that's what they're saying. But I would love to know what his goal is. It's the new pinnacle of AI technology. World famous venture capitalist and 35-year AI expert James Altucher, is it Altucher? I'll say Altucher, predicts it's about to reveal what AI can really do and create a second boom in AI stocks in 2025. There you go. Go into the AI stocks. The best part, he has found the number one way to play it. Let's see. Is this what he has to say? Let's see. The world's too. Where is it? There's no sound.
Powerful men, and you know what I'm talking about. Donald Trump, the leader of the free world, and Elon Musk, the world's richest man. They are about to change America forever and potentially make a lot of people very, very rich.
Yep.
So on January 20th, when Donald Trump takes the oath of office as the 47th president of the United States, he and Musk, his right-hand man and his most trustworthy advisor, they are going to write a bold new chapter in our nation's history. They're going to impact America's people for decades to come. Of course, it's not just me saying this. You've heard it. You've seen all the headlines. You've seen all the speeches. You've seen everything they've been predicting. But I want to tell you why it's important to know these things and how to make money from this, because they're going to be creating fortunes for the people who...
Well, it's more of a commercial. I don't want to play somebody else's commercial, so we're done. All right, people. You're bored of... Why are you bored of AI? Ludwig, why? I'm actually getting into LLMs right now, creating my own and adding my own shit to them. And I think it's pretty fascinating stuff. But then again, I'm a programmer, but I think that's pretty fascinating stuff. In fact, Colin was into it. The guy that was here last week, he was into it. And I'm going to show him how he can do his own. I'm using Olama now, but there's hundreds of them out there. And they're all open and they're uncensored. And they hit the internet. It's awesome. Pretty good stuff.
It's pretty annoying to know that like 60% of the conversation on the web is bot to bot, though.
Yeah, but you know what? It was that way beforehand anyway. It's just that like Twitter, like when AOC came along and she had like 4 million people, she was going to do. There's a way that you could have audited yourself. She refused to do it because she knew that probably 70% of them were bots. They were all bots. We're losing Jade.
Yep, that's about it, man. Oh,
all right, guys. Yeah, we're going to call it a night. 3 hours. I still got some remnants of last week straggling through. I got a cough, but I feel like it's gone. But today I started coughing a lot more. So I'm on some cough medicine right now. But that whole flu that came out, oof. If you didn't get it, consider yourself lucky.
Very glad everybody was here to enjoy a little whatever it is that we do here.
Yeah. All right, guys. Really appreciate you guys being here. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already. If you're here and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? It's free. Please do that. Check out our videos during the week. Really appreciate it. Love you guys. Love you all, man. Thank you, guys.
You take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and see you next week.
We'll see you next week. We'll be here. Oh, as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to get the guy from Right America. He's the guy that did some of the videos that I've played for intros. He's a pretty interesting guy, and I want to interview him and find out why. Like, he's very pro-Trump, all that. I want to find out like what got him into doing that, because he does really good videos. Like what got him into doing it? Like is he going to continue doing it now that Trump's elected and all that? So I'm going to try to. I've been talking with him, and he was traveling over the holidays, and so I'm going to try to get him up here next week to do a little interview with him. And then I'll make a video out of his interview. I'll cut it out. Well, I'll copy it from this main and I'll do a regular video out of it and push it because, it's Right America _ If you guys can go out there. In fact, it's in the description down below. If you look at it, it's Right America. Just go there and sub him if you can. All right. He's a good guy, and I'm going to collab with him. It'll help this channel. It'll help his channel. All right, everybody. God bless you all. Thank you.
All right.
Later, guys. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. See you.